Chapter 586. Do I have to hide? Please subscribe. Continue to open up more spatial layers. Lin Yuan's thoughts converged. Actually, Lin Yuan could have attempted to break through to the 10th rank as early as when he created millions of spatial layers. According to the experiences of countless 9th rank beings in the main world, breaking through to the 10th rank, millions of spatial layers were enough to meet the threshold for the breakthrough. But Lin Yuan did not wish to forsake the greatest opportunity presented by this traversal. After breaking through to the 10th rank, the inner world would continue to transform and begin to solidify to a certain degree. At that time, creating spatial layers as one could at the 9th rank would not be so easy. Instead of that, it was better to open up as many spatial layers as possible while still at the 9th rank. Why did Hunyi, the strongest 9th rank being of the Tianyu clan, open over 30 million spatial layers but still refuse to break through to the 10th rank? Was he foolish? Certainly not. Spatial layers represent the depth and thickness of a world, a more hidden foundation aside from its evident size. The more spatial layers one opens at the 9th rank, the greater the help for stepping into the 10th rank, and even the 11th rank, when the inner world transforms into an inner universe. This is also why Lin Yuan is currently opening spatial layers so fervently, although it can't be said that missing this opportunity would leave him without another chance. But the opportunity must be seized. Besides, another reason Lin Yuan has not attempted the 10th rank breakthrough is the Xianhuang secret realm. The Xianhuang secret realm prohibits those at the 10th rank and above from entering, a rule established since the opening of the Xianhuang secret realm. Even supreme beings cannot forcefully enter, and Lin Yuan worries that if during his traversal, the nature of his spirit will transforms, it would be detected by the Xianhuang secret realm as anomalous, and then he would be ejected from it. Of course, this possibility is not very large. When Lin Yuan's will arrives, even if he truly breaks through to the 10th rank, it doesn't have much to do with his main body. For Lin Yuan, the descent of will also has a trial and error purpose. But to be cautious, considering many aspects, Lin Yuan still prioritizes opening more spatial layers. After all, with his current accumulation, whenever he wants to break through to the 10th rank, he can do it. There's absolutely no need to hurry the process. Those 9th rank peak powerhouses who had just opened millions of spatial layers were anxious to try breaking through to the 10th rank because their lifespan was nearing its end. They had no other choice, that's why they did it. Lin Yuan still has plenty of lifespan left, so there's no need to rush. Xianhuang secret realm. Lin Yuan once again perceived the situation through the door to the myriad realms, sensing the circumstances on the side of the Taiyang divine spirit. Xilan's breath has already weakened by nearly a quarter. Lin Yuan was aware of this numerically, knowing Xilan could still hold on for a while. As for the damage to his main Bodhis avatar caused by burning his spirit will, that's not irreparable. After all, once Lin Yuan finishes his traversal and returns to the Xianhuang secret realm, he can give Xilan some opportunities. Lin Yuan can foresee that, after his traversal ends with his strength, he should be able to sweep away all the 9th rank beings in the Xianhuang secret realm. At that time, all the resources in the secret realm would be there for his taking. Actually, even if Lin Yuan doesn't experience the entire traversal, he would still be able to sweep through the entire Xianhuang secret realm if he returned now. Ocean of Light. Hundreds of true gods were seated in a spacious hall. Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits abducting a large number of demigods had completely angered the gods of the Ocean of Light, on top of the massive looting of divine crystals 300 years ago. Old grudges and fresh grievances made the gods' teeth itch for revenge. My most devout follower, a 7th rank demigod named Mosi, has vanished without a trace for over 200 years. I can feel that he is still alive, but I have no idea where he is. A true god with a single horn scanned the many gods around and said, "My 2 demigod followers are the same. Who could this be, capable of eluding our perception?" Another true god, with white wings, spoke. "My followers are the same. To elude our perception, could they have fallen into another divine kingdom? Is it those divine beings from the Dark Abyss doing this? No, that's not right. The Dark Abyss has its own prime gods who would not do such a thing," one said. Hundreds of true gods conversed, and eventually concluded that their followers could indeed be in other divine kingdoms, as this was the only explanation for the gods' inability to perceive their followers. However, this divine kingdom may not be from living deities, as the remnants of fallen gods' divine kingdoms from the distant past had similar abilities. So you're saying someone abducted our demigod followers and hid them in a fallen divine kingdom? What does the other party want? Why not just kill them? Why do this? The gods were puzzled, and while the conclusion seemed incredible, it was the only explanation that made sense of their situation. Could it be that a group of powerful demigods in the mortal realm luckily obtains a divine opportunity and acquires a fallen divine kingdom? Then they begin targeting our Chuch's demigods, abducting them one by one, and for some purpose, keep them in that fallen divine kingdom? Soon, some true gods started theorizing about the cause and sequence of events. Despite there being many inexplicable aspects, they managed to clarify the reasons behind the events. Now what do we do? Where exactly are our demigod followers, and who is the mastermind behind all of this? Any clues? A true god voiced their doubts. Rest assured. Just then, a true god sitting in the highest seat spoke up. He was an upper-rank god, one of the most powerful and high-ranking beings beneath the prime god. He surveyed the hall of gods and slowly said, "I have already given the aura of your followers to the god of divination over 100 years ago, for him to deduce the last known location of their presence." Chapter 587. Do I have to dodge? Please subscribe. Understood. As these words were spoken, the hearts of the gods present were certain. The god of divination, one of the 12 prime gods of the ocean of light. The powers the god of divination commanded were very special, that is, premonition and divination. The god of divination could merge with heaven and earth, observing the changes and evolution of all things in the world from a unique perspective. In simple terms, as long as the god of divination was willing to pay the price, he could know anything in the world. However, to ask the god of divination to take action also required a huge price. If it wasn't for the fact that their demigod-level followers had suffered such severe losses, this upper-rank god would not have sought out the god of divination. The god of divination told me that the results would be given out during this period, said the upper-rank god seated at the head. Good, then we shall wait. As for the price of asking the god of divination to take action, we will also bear some of it, the gods said to each other after exchanging glances. The upper-rank god seated at the head looked slightly better upon hearing this. Time slowly passed. Before long, several months had gone by. The expression of the upper-rank god at the head suddenly changed. Seeing this, the other true gods turned their gaze towards him. A moment later, the complexion of that upper-rank god gradually returned to normal. He then looked at the gods and slowly said, "The god of divination has given the results." As expected of the god of divination, that is the source of the aura we could not find no matter what. Where exactly was the last place our demigod-level followers disappeared? The gods looked at the upper-rank god with anticipation. The god of divination said, "The last place where all the followers' auras disappeared was in the Longshanling area of the Slan Empire on the plateau of myriad nations." The upper-rank god stated directly. The Slan Empire, that's the territory of the main god of rank. Longshanling? I remember now, the Lord of Longshanling is talented and gifted. The outside world has theorized that he might have received a divine favor. Divine favor? I understand now. The prime culprit behind the abduction of our demigod-level followers is none other than the Lord of Longshanling, which fits with our earlier speculation that all the followers were hidden in some ruined divine kingdom. The Lord of Longshanling, the Longshan family patriarch, a demigod under 500 years old, truly deserves death for daring to secretly act against us. If not for the god of divination, we would still be in the dark to this moment. The Longshan family patriarch truly deserves death. The god's tone was indignant, but they did not act rashly. After all, Longshanling was situated within the territory of the rank church, which was the church of the main god of rank. Without clarity on whether the main god of rank was related to this matter and whether he was aware, as angry as the true gods were, they had to remain sensible. "Let's go," We ourselves shall descend with divine power incarnations and head to Longshan Ling to see if the great main god of rank will deal with this matter. Indeed, the great main god of rank advocates for order, and the actions of that Longshan family patriarch are akin to creating chaos. I don't believe the main god of rank is aware of this. The gods exchanged glances and immediately came to a decision. The 12 prime gods of the Ocean of Light were lofty, and the main god of rank was no exception. With the stature of the main god of rank, how could he possibly care about those demigods of the mortal realm? This matter was likely the doing of the Longshan family patriarch and had little to do with the main god of rank. However, regardless, the people of the Longshan family were within the territory of the rank church. Even if they were in the right, they still had to give notice. I have had contact with the Pope of the rank church of the Slan Empire. Let me inquire first if he knows of this matter. A true god spoke, immediately separating a wisp of divine power to make contact. The Pope of any true god church has an extremely special connection with the true god themselves, perhaps even as a direct descendant. For a main god church like the rank church, its Pope is directly an attached spirit of the main god of rank's will carrier. Only in this way can they better control the entire church. Attached spirits, though not free, are still divine beings. Residing in the Ocean of Light, it was perfectly normal for the gods present to have had contact with the other party. We leave now, to Longshan Ling to demand an explanation. Countless true gods within the Great Hall sent down divine power avatars within their respective churches, grandiosely moving towards Longshan Ling in the Slan Empire. The Slan Empire. The rank church. The Pope suddenly opened his eyes. The Longshan Patriarch is the main culprit behind the abduction of numerous demigod-level powerhouses from the church in the past few centuries. There are now a great number of avatars of divine power descended from true gods, rushing this way. The rank Pope's brow was furrowed, his true form belonging to the spirits of the Ocean of Light, carrying out the commands of the main god of rank to manage the mortal churches. The mission given to him by the main god of rank was not only to manage the churches but also to search for demigods with enough potential to be guided to the Ocean of Light and become subordinate spirits to the prime god. Over the years, the one he had taken such a fancy to most was the chief of the Longshan family. The other party was young, with tremendous potential, and moreover, his lack of interest in the faith made the rank Pope very inclined to win him over. And in these years, the rank Pope had also been making efforts in this direction. Nonsense! For so many true gods to descend avatars of their divine power without regard for face, isn't that a farce? The rank Pope immediately rose and hastened towards Longshan Ling. He also felt somewhat uneasy in his heart. If those true gods dared to make such a big move, they must have decisive evidence. Should this matter blow up, it would definitely not bode well for Longshan Yuan. The main god of rank valued order, and order included both rewards and punishments. If Lin Yuan truly was the main culprit in the disappearance of many church demigods over the past few centuries, and the main god of rank became aware, he would surely act according to the rules without any partiality. Cold and impartial, these words describe the main god of rank. We absolutely cannot let Longshan Yuan meet with that group of spirits. The rank Pope decided to protect Lin Yuan. As long as the two sides had not met and confronted each other face to face, there was room for the situation to de-escalate, and then it would be easy to speak on behalf of the prime god. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the rank Pope arrived at Longshan Ling. I want to see the Longshan Patriarch. The rank Pope directly approached the entrance of the Longshan Great Hall. See the Patriarch? Longshan Ling and a few others immediately stepped forward to greet him. They recognized the rank Pope and knew his status and position, not daring to show the slightest neglect. Correct. The Longshan Patriarch may be implicated in the disappearance of demigods over these past few centuries, and now a great number of avatars of true God's divine power are coming to accuse him. The rank Pope briefly explained. What? Your Holiness, there must be some misunderstanding here. Longshan Ling and the others were trembling avatars of divine power descended by hundreds of true gods? Those were the avatars of the true God's divine power that could level Longshan Ling with just a mere leak of their presence. Longshan Ling and the others also quickly realized that the reason why those true gods were willing to come and accuse in person was probably to give face to the rank church. Otherwise, with the overbearing nature of the true gods, they would simply have acted directly to obliterate Longshan Ling, no questions asked. What's most important now is, before that group of true gods arrives, we take the Longshan patriarch to our church to hide for a bit. The rank pope quickly said. The true gods dared to come to Longshan Ling to accuse, but they would absolutely not dare accuse in front of the rank church. That would be the dignity of the main god of rank. Yes. Seek the church's shelter. Longshan Ling and the others also felt like they had found their backbone in an instant. They immediately led the rank pope and others into the Longshan Great Hall and came to the entrance of the cultivation room. Patriarch, a major event has occurred. Longshan Ling immediately activated a method of contact, trying to reach Lin Yuan, who was in seclusion. Inside the cultivation room, Lin Yuan opened his eyes silently. The door opened. Lin Yuan emerged, his expression serene. Patriarch, Longshan Ling quickly explained the situation. Patriarch, you need to rush to the church right now to take cover. Longshan Ling said anxiously. Even though she revered her patriarch immensely, she did not believe Lin Yuan could survive in the face of avatars of divine power descended by hundreds of true gods. In the face of a life-and-death crisis for Longshan family's supporting pillar, how could Longshan Ling not be anxious? How could she not be flustered? Longshan patriarch, as long as you hide in the church, I guarantee those spirits will not dare to come forcefully. The rank pope also hastily said. Hide. Lin Yuan's gaze was calm and distant as he stepped out of the Longshan Great Hall, looking towards the end of the sky's expanse. In the distance, a terrifying and majestic presence began to approach rapidly, as if a majestic heavenly might was descending. Lin Yuan raised his right hand, his sleeves billowing, and with a gentle sweep forward, when he drew his hand back, hundreds of Dao incarnations had mysteriously appeared in his palm. Use hiding. Chapter 588 The God Among Men, subscribe requested. The heavens and earth were vast and boundless. Hundreds of powerful auras roared toward Longshan Ling. As incarnations of divine power descended from the ocean of light, each figure on the field symbolized a true god. Even though they were merely incarnations, their strength far surpassed the peak of a demigod, approaching that of an eighth-layer true god. Especially the foremost dozen figures, who were incarnations of divine power from upper-rank gods, their aura fluctuations had reached the threshold of a true god. Even among eighth-layer true gods, the disparity in strength was vast, depending on the rules and authority held by their divine lattice and the purity of their divine power. Of course, the most crucial aspect was how much belief they had gathered. Belief is the foundation of every true god, leveraging the power of all beings, allowing seventh-layer demigods to gather and elevate a divine kingdom. In the distant past, there were frequent divine wars between the true gods of the ocean of light and the dark abyss, fundamentally fighting over the acquisition of belief. Wait a minute. After flying for a while, the hundreds of divine power incarnations subtly sensed something amiss. Especially those of the upper-rank gods, who furrowed their brows and continuously surveyed their surroundings. As true gods, their realm evident, even as divine power incarnations, they possessed keen spatial awareness. Some true gods had already sensed something. The space has changed. The space of the mortal world is not like this. Right? I also find it strange. Could it be that we haven't arrived in the mortal world? Impossible. The anchor points for our divine power incarnations are the major churches of the mortal world. How could it not be the mortal world? One by one, the true gods quickly exchanged thoughts, looking around at their surroundings, feeling an unprecedented strangeness. Stop arguing. An upper-rank god thought for a moment and spoke. According to our speed, we should have already arrived at Longshan Ling by now. But where is Longshan Ling now? With these words, the faces of all the other true gods turned solemn. Indeed, the speed of a true god is incredibly fast. Even if the plateau of myriad nations is vast and expansive, a large group of true gods like them flying for this long should have already arrived. True gods are not engaging in simple physical flying. Theirs is a shifting flight that compresses spatial distances. What does this mean? Has Longshan Ling been moved away? Some true gods had yet to react, mostly lower-rank gods, who had little awareness of the essence of space. It's not that Longshan Ling has been moved away. It's us who have been moved. Unbeknownst to us, at some point, we were moved into a sealed space. An upper-rank god voiced his speculation. Although this conjecture was incredible, moving them in front of so many true gods seemed like a fantastical tale. Yet, aside from this possibility, the upper-rank god could think of no other explanation. If you don't believe it, you can try to return to the ocean of light. This upper-rank god glanced at the other gods, whose faces were filled with disbelief, and added another line. The ocean of light is located not in any specific location in the mortal world, but in another spatial layer. Thus, no matter how much those demigods in the mortal world search, they can never find the dwelling of the gods, the ocean of light and the dark abyss. To the demigods, the ocean of light may seem far away, but to the true gods present, it was but a stone's throw away. With their true selves as coordinates, the numerous divine power incarnations easily locked onto the spatial layer where the ocean of light was located. Ultimately, all they had to do was break through the space to enter. I can't believe that there exists such a powerful being in the mortal world capable of moving us effortlessly. Correct, I am going back to the ocean of light now. Apart from the great prime god, it is absolutely impossible for anyone else to move us collectively. A significant portion of the true self-incarnations immediately broke the space, attempting to enter the ocean of light and reunite with their true bodies. However, the space was indeed broken open. But moments later, all of the divine power incarnations reappeared in the main space, their faces pale. Through the recent attempt, these divine power incarnations were shocked to find that they could vaguely sense the location of the ocean of light. But they just couldn't reach it. It seemed as though there was an invisible barrier separating them. Or rather, all of their divine power incarnations were within a spatial prison. This speculation made the faces of many divine power incarnations look awful, even carrying a hint of fear. If the speculation were true, then who could be behind this act? The prime god? Would the prime god have such a boring time as to tease them? If not the prime god, then who? Outside the Longshan Great Hall, under the watchful eyes of the rank Pope and Longshan Ling among other core members of the Longshan family, Lin Yuan's right hand reached into the void, and his palm suddenly filled with hundreds of headless fly-like messen figures. Clan leader, if what the Pope says is correct, and a large number of true god incarnations are about to descend, hiding in the rank church is the most urgent matter. Clan leader, there are many doubts about the disappearance of the many demigods. We should prioritize preserving ourselves now. Longshan Ling and other core members of the Longshan family continued to earnestly advise. They knew the importance of Longshan Yuan to the Longshan family. Anything could happen to anyone in the Longshan family, even total destruction. But nothing could happen to Longshan Yuan. With Longshan Yuan present, rebuilding the Longshan family was only a matter of time, but without Longshan Yuan, even if every member of the Longshan family survived, what awaited them was partitioning by other forces. As for what Lin Yuan just said need to hide, Longshan Ling and others believed it meant denying any connection with the disappearance of the many demigods. Chapter 589 The God Among Men, please subscribe. Understood, but at this time, whether it was Lin Yuan's doing had become irrelevant. With so many true god incarnations descending, it was entirely possible for them to mistakenly kill Longshan Yuan in an accident. Longshan Ling and other core members of the Longshan family also noticed several hundred Jezi figures emerge in the palm of their patriarch. However, they didn't pay it much attention. The most pressing matter was to follow the rank Pope into the rank church before those true god incarnations arrived. Only by the grace of the great main god of rank could they deter those true god incarnations. Anxiety also filled the heart of the rank Pope standing beside them. The descent of hundreds of true god incarnations was a pressure even for him. Relying on his identity as an affiliated spirit of the main god of rank, the rank Pope was certain that the incarnations would not dare to lay a hand on him. But as for Lin Yuan, Firstly, Lin Yuan was not a follower of the main god of rank. If he indeed had something to do with the disappearance of the demigod, the rank pope had no reason to protect him. Only by entering the rank church could they invoke the untouchable majesty of the main god of rank to block those true god incarnations. Longshan Patriarch, there's no time to lose. The rank pope looked toward Lin Yuan, already considering the idea of forcibly taking him into the church. Lin Yuan had publicly revealed his strength as a demigod, but the rank pope's true self was a true god from the ocean of light, and although he was but an affiliated spirit of a main god, his strength was slightly greater than that of a lower-rank god. Even if his current flesh was merely a human vessel, forcibly taking away a demigod would pose no problem. Longshan Patriarch, please forgive my offense. The rank pope took a deep breath. Before making his move, he subconsciously glanced at the palm of Lin Yuan's right hand. Ha! The rank pope took another look. Then a third look. A fourth look. A fifth look. Until finally, the rank pope's gaze was fixedly staring at the palm of Lin Yuan's right hand. Within the palm, several hundred Jezi figures appeared like headless flies, frantically scrambling around but always failing to escape from the confines of the palm. For a demigod, this was not unusual. Capturing some flies and trapping them in one's palm was quite simple. But the rank pope's forehead was now covered in cold sweat. If Lin Yuan's palm was magnified 100 million times, those Jezi figures within would also be magnified 100 million times. It would be revealed that these Jezi figures were embodiments with tremendous aura, far surpassing the peak of a demigod, true god incarnations. True god incarnations? The rank pope felt this was absurd. A true god incarnation was a continuation of a true god's will, and even the incarnation of a lower-rank god approximates the threshold of an 8th-layer true god. But now, these true god incarnations were struggling like ants in Lin Yuan's palm? How could this be possible? This is wrong. The rank pope immediately looked towards the edge of the sky. Just a moment ago, to be precise, before Lin Yuan stretched out his right hand and those several hundred Jezi figures emerged in his palm, the rank pope could distinctly feel terrifying auras rapidly approaching Longshan Ling. Those should have been the true god incarnations coming to seek accountability. But now, all of those auras had vanished without a trace. The rank pope had originally thought that the incarnations concealed their presence out of wariness of the rank church. But now, the rank pope, staring at the struggling Jezi figures in Lin Yuan's palm and considering the sudden disappearance of the incarnation's auras, a terrible thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. At the same time, in the ocean of light far away, the true body of the rank pope began to contact those gods who had come to hold others accountable. These true god incarnations might have been trapped in Lin Yuan's palm, but their true selves were still free, although at this moment they were in complete disarray. All true god incarnations are trapped in an unknown and vast space, unable to break free, unable to return to the ocean of light. Some true gods wonder if it was the hand of the prime god of the dark abyss? The rank pope uncontrollably swallowed his saliva, his gaze still fixed on Lin Yuan's right palm. Trapped in an unknown and vast space? Could it be the palm of the Longshan Patriarch? Waves of shock crashed in the heart of the rank pope, and he could no longer maintain a calm expression. Because it was beyond belief. Just a demigod from the Longshan family, and merely by lifting and retracting his right hand, he trapped hundreds of true god incarnations in his palm? This was no longer within the capabilities of true gods, and even an upper-rank god of great power couldn't possibly possess such skills. This was the work of a prime god. The realm of a 9th-rank prime god. Even the rank pope felt that for a 9th-rank prime god, killing a few hundred true gods might not be a difficult task, but to play with hundreds of true gods at the spatial level like Lin Yuan did? Perhaps even those prime gods not proficient in spatial abilities couldn't achieve this with such nonchalance. Defeating and killing are two different things. Killing and toying with them are equally distinct. Longshan Patriarch. The rank pope's voice trembled as he looked at Lin Yuan, whose back was turned to him, his gaze wandering into space. It's over. Those true god incarnations won't be coming anymore. Lin Yuan glanced at the rank pope and then at the confused-looking core members of the Longshan family like Longshan Ling. Immediately after, Lin Yuan slightly raised his right hand, brought his face close to his palm, and took a gentle breath. World within the palm. After the initial panic and confusion, hundreds of true God incarnations immediately began to collaborate, trying to break the prison and return to the human world. Space has its limits, and even the most expansive human world can be torn apart layer by the battles among gods. This spatial prison that had them trapped should be the same. If hundreds of true God incarnations joined forces, the energy they released should reach the level of an upper-rank god. At that point, even if they couldn't tear apart the prison, they estimated that they could at least shake it a bit, and that would be their chance. However, after many attempts by the group of true God incarnations and tearing through millions of spatial layers of this spatial prison, they still couldn't see its end. Such a thick spatial prison, which prime God from the dark abyss made this move? A true God incarnation couldn't help but speak out. At first, they didn't think it was the deed of a prime god because the prime gods wouldn't be so idle. But as they continuously probed and understood the spatial prison, their astonishment intensified. Other than a prime god, who else could create such a space? What do we do now? Ask for help from the prime god of the ocean of light? The many true self-incarnations seemed somewhat helpless. Suddenly, just then, above this piece of heaven and earth, a face appeared that took up half the sky. The size of one eye on this face was as large as the sun, and without emitting any presence, it still made all godly incarnations' souls tremble. Before the true self-incarnations could react, they saw the immense face turn towards them and take a gentle breath. Instantly, a terrifying force permeated every inch of space. All true self-incarnations were scattered into nothingness. Even the upper-rank gods' true self-incarnations didn't last a moment. The true selves were incarnations of divine power, not flesh and blood, created from the purest divine force, and at that moment, all divine incarnations returned to their origins, turning into a vast amount of pure energy and flowing into the mouth of that vast face. Outside, Lin Yuan ate all the divine power incarnations in one bite, and with his current size, the energy contained within these embodiments was no more than a dessert after a meal, barely offering a taste. It's done. Lin Yuan patted his right hand, and swept a look over the rigid rank Pope, and the still confused core members of the Longshan family like Longshan Ling, who hadn't yet grasped what had happened. There is no danger now. Go about your business. After speaking, Lin Yuan walked straight into the Longshan Great Hall, dealing with the divine force incarnations of the hundreds of true gods without any difficulty. As a 9th rank who had opened 90 million spatial layers, Lin Yuan's expertise in space was such that even some 10th rankers in the main world might not boldly claim they could best him, much less in this world. Patriarch. The core members of the Longshan family like Longshan Ling blinked, still not recovered, wondering what meant by there being no danger. Hadn't the rank Pope just said that many true God incarnations were on their way over to seek accountability? Your Holiness, what, in heaven's name, happened? Longshan Ling looked towards the rank Pope next to him, his expression still anxious. The rank Pope. Chapter 590 On the Brink of Collapse. Please subscribe. Yes, Your Holiness, what exactly happened? The other members of the Longshan family were also somewhat puzzled. They absolutely trusted Lin Yuan, but just moments ago, hundreds of true self-incarnations were about to arrive, and the demise of the Longshan family seemed imminent. Now there's no danger? The situation had changed too quickly. What happened? The rank Pope remained silent. His mind replayed the scene where Lin Yuan had simply inhaled gently, and all the mesons within his palm crumbled and merged into his mouth. One must know, those mesons were true God incarnations. Among them, some upper-rank God incarnations were scarcely weaker than normal true gods. Yet they had met such an end. The rank Pope's heart trembled a bit, feeling somewhat relieved that he had not acted earlier because, otherwise, even if he had not died, he would likely have been brushed aside by Lin Yuan. How could the Longshan Patriarch be so powerful? The rank Pope looked up at the sky. There, numerous stars hung, marking the territories of the divine kingdom of the gods of Light's Ocean and the Dark Abyss. The number of gods is limited, so the divine kingdoms are also limited, and the stars in the sky are just as finite. In this world, some demigods tread carefully, secretly gathering faith, perhaps evading the perception of the gods. But once they take that step and become true gods, raising their own divine kingdom, there is no way to hide it. Because divine kingdoms are too conspicuous, turned into stars, suspended high above in the sky, and the number is just so many, each new one will surely attract the attention of the gods. However, in recent centuries, even millennia, there hasn't been an additional star in the sky. That is to say, no new deities have been born. From this one can infer that the Longshan patriarch has not yet become a deity, at least he hasn't raised a divine kingdom. But without raising a divine kingdom, without the power of a divine kingdom, why is the Longshan patriarch so strong? The rank pope felt his understanding shattering. How could the Longshan patriarch, not a deity, kill gods as if they were mere ants? The rank pope steadied himself, gathered his thoughts, and looked towards the puzzled Longshan Ling and several other core members of the Longshan family. What the Longshan patriarch said is true. There's no longer any danger. The rank pope said with difficulty. Danger? All the danger had been consumed by the Longshan patriarch in one gulp. Ah, it's really safe now? While Longshan Ling and the others sighed in relief, their curiosity grew even more. Those true god incarnations were all resolved by the Longshan patriarch. Those mesons in the patriarch's palm just now were those true god incarnations. After a moment of silence, the rank pope patiently explained. He had a premonition that after today, the reputation of the Longshan patriarch would resound through the light's ocean and the dark abyss. Those things were true god incarnations? Longshan Ling and the others went into a daze. True god incarnations are so weak? As soon as the last sentence was spoken, they realized the truth. It was not that the true god incarnations were weak, but that their patriarch was too strong. Compared to him, the mighty and invincible true god incarnations appeared pitifully frail. I must leave now. In the end, the rank pope cast a deep glance into the Longshan Great Hall, and then turned and left. What he had witnessed was too unbelievable, and he needed to report to the main god of rank immediately. In fact, he didn't need to report, the matter simply couldn't be kept secret, and the original true gods whose deific incarnations were consumed by Lin Yuan were already in an uproar. This incident would spread at a terrifying speed among the gods, and not only within the Ocean of Light. The Ocean of Light. Inside the serpentine and coiling palace. Hundreds of true gods looked at each other in shock, the amazement in their hearts nearly overflowing. My divine incarnation is dead. Same here, I can't sense it at all anymore. That enormous face that appeared last, doesn't it resemble the patriarch of the Longshan family? It's not just resemblance, it must be the Longshan patriarch. As true gods of the 8th-layer, their memories would not fail them. If that enormous face were reduced by 1,000,000,000 times, it would be that of the Longshan patriarch. Moreover, their divine incarnations were en route to Longshan Ling to question the Longshan patriarch for his crimes and were taken to the spatial prison. Multiple clues converged, pointing towards a possibility. It was the Longshan patriarch himself who had acted against them. The one they regarded as an ant, whose soul they intended to burn in their divine kingdom for 10,000 years, was just a mere demigod. Truth be told, the gods had never taken the Longshan patriarch seriously, even though he was behind the disappearance of demigods these years. After all, a demigod is just that, a demigod. No matter how powerful, as long as one hasn't gathered faith and raised a divine kingdom, they are still an ant. But now, the ant in the eyes of the gods had suddenly transformed into a towering dragon? Impossible! How can he be this strong without becoming a god? Yes, the Longshan patriarch isn't even a true god. How could he possibly be this powerful? Despite the overwhelming evidence, there were still true gods who couldn't believe it. They had gone through countless trials and tribulations, and with great difficulty, raised their divine kingdoms and entered the Ocean of Light, becoming deities exalted by all living beings. And then this happened? I must see the prime god to understand the reason behind this. How exactly is the Longshan patriarch so powerful? Right, but which prime god should we go to? Let's go to the god of divination. There's nothing in the world he doesn't know about. The god of divination must be aware of the origins of the Longshan patriarch. One by one, the true gods rose to their feet. Chapter 591 on the brink of collapse. Please subscribe. _2 Among the 12 prime gods of the Ocean of Light, the god of divination is the most unique, and also the best-tempered. The other prime gods, such as the main god of rank, goddess of the magic web, rainbow dragon god, and so on, are almost absolutely rational, spending their time either in slumber or in seclusion. Only the god of divination would sometimes solve their doubts. Previously, the gods had sought the god of divination to deduce the last known locations of the vanished demigods. Now it seems that this deduction was clearly correct. With the strength of the Longshan patriarch, secretly abducting some demigods was too easy. Could the Longshan patriarch be a deity who nearly perished long ago before the divine kingdom plunged into the mortal realm? A true god speculated. In the distant past, several divine wars had occurred, with many deities perishing and divine kingdoms falling into the mortal realm. However, the fall of a divine kingdom into the mortal realm did not mean certain death. As long as there were still believers in the mortal realm, the perished deity still had a possibility of returning. Of course, the probability of such a possibility was so low as to be pitiable, merely a theoretical possibility, and in reality, it had never occurred. But the Longshan patriarch was too powerful, so some true gods couldn't help but think in this direction. Whether he is a perished deity from the past or not, once we see the god of divination, everything will become clear. Another true god responded. They had absolute trust in the god of divination. Longshan Great Hall. Within the cultivation room, Lin Yuan sat down cross-legged again. The taste of a divine power incarnation is somewhat better than that of mere divine crystals. Lin Yuan smacked his lips, casually giving his opinion, knowing that in the main world prime universe, the pure energy contained within these divine power incarnations far exceeded that of scarlet spirit liquid. It's a pity that it is only an incarnation. If it were the true God himself, at least I could have tried out the effects of true divine nature. Lin Yuan felt a bit of regret. With his current strength, the incarnations of the true gods weren't much different from the originals, as the absolute control over nearly 100 million spatial layers allowed Lin Yuan to overpower any true god or even a prime god on the spatial level. But it won't be long now. Once I completely understand the last bit of spatial essence in the demigod lattice. Lin Yuan thought to himself. In his eyes, the spatial essence contained in the demigod lattice was a reflection of the spatial essence of this world. It was like a television. The demigods only knew to watch programs through it. But Lin Yuan was deducing a complete modern factory industrial chain through the television itself, and from that, comprehending all of modern industry. Of course, the spatial essence of a world was many times more difficult than a mere industrial chain. It was just an analogy. The spatial essence corresponding to the demigod lattice belonged to the foundational part. Lin Yuan needed to thoroughly understand it in order to contemplate the spatial essence corresponding to true divine nature with more efficiency. Space. Layers upon layers of spatial levels faintly emerged in the depths of Lin Yuan's eyes. The layers within his inner world were also rapidly emerging, with new spatial layers being born almost at every passing moment. Suddenly, Lin Yuan stopped his contemplation and turned his head in a certain direction. Have you had enough of watching? Lin Yuan muttered to himself. Rustle, rustle. Invisible forces converged. A tall and cold-eyed, breathtakingly beautiful woman appeared. The very moment this woman appeared, the rules of heaven and earth seemed to make way, and an aura superior to that of true gods spread and permeated the surrounding. Goddess of the magic web? Lin Yuan looked at the beautiful woman not far away, without any sign of surprise. Who knew first about Lin Yuan's actions against the numerous divine incarnations? Their true god selves in the ocean of light, or the rank pope beside Lin Yuan? Neither. The first to detect the anomaly was this goddess of the magic web, who covered the entire mortal realm with her web and was one of the 12 prime gods of the ocean of light. Where the magic web extended, That was the expanse of the goddess' perceptual range. When Lin Yuan moved against the Lust Church, and the primordial spirit personally descended upon the Lust Church's stronghold, it was out of wariness of this goddess of the magic web, fearing that unleashing too powerful a force would attract her attention. Longshan Patriarch, who exactly are you? The goddess of the magic web's eyes shone with a peculiar light as she looked at Lin Yuan and slowly inquired. As a prime god, exalted above all, overlooking all living beings and gods, little in this world could stir their emotions anymore. But Lin Yuan was certainly one who could. Who I am, you'll know soon enough. I will personally enter the ocean of light. By then, I hope you prime gods will not disappoint me. Lin Yuan couldn't be bothered to commune with these prime gods, raising his right hand as the terrifying force of the world, combined with the power of multiple spatial layers, swept away everything. The goddess of the magic web before him was merely an incarnation formed by the magic web that enshrouded the mortal world. Naturally, she couldn't withstand a casual blow from Lin Yuan. Magic web. Lin Yuan looked around, his thoughts stirring slightly. His power spread in all directions, driving away the ever-present magic web. Without the magic web, how would members of the Longshan family communicate? With Lin Yuan's strength, it was entirely possible to reconstruct a new communication network to replace the original magic web. Ocean of Light. True gods gathered in front of the towering temple of the god of divination. The events they had recently experienced had already spread among the gods. The emergence of a powerful stranger in the human realm, comparable to the prime god, was too significant not to proliferate. Thus, the true gods converging in front of the temple numbered in the hundreds. At least 80% of the divine lattice holders of the entire ocean of light had been attracted here. Even from afar, the will of the prime gods lingered, watching. At that moment, the temple doors opened. The white-robed god of divination emerged. I already know why you have come, said the god of divination, a white-haired elder with a gentle tone and a warm gaze. To clarify the origins of the Longshan Patriarch is no difficult task, he said calmly, though he too was curious. He had initially foretold the vanishing demigod's last traces at Longshan Ling but hadn't continued to divine further. He hadn't expected the situation to cause such an uproar. Thank you, god of divination. The god of divination knows all. The origins of the Longshan Patriarch will undoubtedly be revealed to us soon, the true god said with livened spirits. The combat power the Longshan Patriarch had demonstrated, no weaker than the prime gods, intrigued them greatly. Then I shall begin. The god of divination smiled slightly, silently reciting the Longshan Patriarch's name and the specific location of Longshan Ling. He then activated the power of time main god form within him, leveraging the rules and great Tao of this world to probe the true history of the Longshan Patriarch. Scenes manifested in front of the god of divination. They depicted past events that had occurred at Longshan Ling. These events started to unfold before the god of divination, rewinding in time. 100 years. 200 years. 300 years. 400 years. In an instant, time had traveled back 400 to 500 years. What could the origins be? Murmured the god of divination, his expression tinged with expectation. Foretelling, essentially, was an act of time. By leveraging the time main god form within him, he could trace back into the past. That's why he was known as omniscient. After all, as long as he traced back far enough, nothing in the world remained a secret to the god of divination. In the ocean of light, among the 24 prime gods of the dark abyss, the god of divination might not have been the strongest in combat power, but he was certainly the hardest to kill. Watching the past had granted the god of divination countless means to save his life. Time continued to reverse. But at a certain node, the slow reversal of time came to an impasse. The god of divination's expression shifted slightly, as he had never encountered such a situation before. Something was actually withstanding his reversal of time. The god of divination hurriedly examined the scene. The young Longshan Patriarch was lying on the bed when he suddenly opened his eyes. The next moment, the reversed flow of time, as if encountering an unimaginable entity. The entire river of time began to ripple, and the god of divination's expression drastically changed. He clearly felt a backlash from the river of time, almost devouring him. Spurt. The god of divination turned ashen, his breath plunging continuously, and cracks began to appear within his time main god form. Above the firmament, the enormous star representing the god of divination, which almost illuminated 1/10 of the sky, suddenly began to shake violently. It teetered on the brink. Chapter 592 Supreme God. Subscribe please. Longshan Great Hall. Lin Yuan was delving into the essence of space within the demigod lattice. Suddenly, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Is someone spying on me? A subtle movement in Lin Yuan's heart. Just at that moment, he felt an extremely covert sensation of being watched. This feeling of being watched wasn't a spatial one, but rather pertained to the aspect of time. If Lin Yuan hadn't profoundly understood the rule of time over these years, he probably wouldn't have sensed anything unusual at all. Even beings of 9th rank and even 10th rank life forms would find it difficult to counteract within the domain of time. Simply put, there was some entity, traversing against the river of time, trying to decipher Lin Yuan's true origins. Lin Yuan's mind sank into his mental sea where the majestic and grand door to the myriad realms stood. A trivial backlash, following the projection of the door to the myriad realms, indifferently released. Detected a thread of the aura of the door to the myriad realms. No, it should be a subtle trace, and then encountered a backlash? A hint of oddity flickered across Lin Yuan's expression. The door to the myriad realms, whose rank Lin Yuan still hadn't figured out. However, it was certain that it far surpassed the level of a 12th rank supreme being. Transcending dimensions, which supreme beings can't touch, yet the door to the myriad realms can do it as easily as eating or drinking. Such beings already possess characteristics of unseeable and unspyable, like a blazing sun, continuously emitting energy at all times. Life forms whose strength and realm aren't sufficient, if they dare to look or spy directly, even if they are separated by vast distances and multiple dimensional barriers, will still suffer horrible backlashes. This was only a projection of the door to the myriad realms. If it were the door to the myriad realms itself. In fact, there's no such possibility because the instant the door to the myriad realms itself descends into this world, everything will shatter. Lin Yuan couldn't sustain the door to the myriad realms itself, and neither could this world. Is it the sovereign god of the ocean of light? Or the sovereign god of the dark abyss? Lin Yuan speculated in his heart while looking up at the sky. Stars symbolic of the gods seemingly hung eternally indestructible. Within the largest 24 stars, one began showing intense fluctuations, looking as if it was about to fall. The god of divination? Lin Yuan carefully observed and came to a conclusion. The numerous stars hanging in the sky, each corresponded to a true god, especially those 24 largest stars, which were the divine kingdoms of the prime gods. No sooner had the backlash from the door to the myriad realms transferred over than one of the prime gods' divine kingdoms started trembling. Lin Yuan almost confirmed that the one who had spied on him through the dimension of time was the adversary. Yet, there is also a prime god who possesses the attribute of time. Lin Yuan's heart grew slightly fervent. The rule of time, though belonging to the foundational rules like the space rules, its complexity and difficulty in mastering surpassed the latter by far. In this world, the demigods, true gods, and even prime gods, their divine lattices serve as keys to unlocking the essence of rules. For example, a demigod lattice with spatial attributes could allow Lin Yuan to see the true essence of space in this world, thus vastly benefiting the creation of spatial layers. What about a divine lattice with time attributes? Or a prime god form? It depends on the extent to which the nature of time is contained within that time prime god's divine lattice, Lin Yuan thought silently. If the nature of time contained within is too high, Lin Yuan would actually find it troublesome because it implies that this time prime god possesses superior application of the rule of time, like his true body directly ascending against the flow of time, hiding in the past? In that case, Lin Yuan, despite having absolute strength, could do nothing against the opponent. But the probability of this is not high. To ascend against the flow with one's true body, one must fully understand the complete rule of time. If that time prime god had such strength, spying on Lin Yuan through the layer of time would not have been detected. So far, Lin Yuan's understanding of the rule of time is just at a beginner level, still far from even a minor achievement. Hopefully he wasn't directly killed by the backlash, right? Lin Yuan closely observed that massive star in the heavens. After learning of the other's rare time attribute divine lattice, Lin Yuan instead worried about the other's safety. Ocean of light. Before the temple, the gods all eagerly watched the god of divination, hoping to utilize the power of this great prime god to clarify the origins of that Longshan patriarch. However, what happened next shocked all the present true gods. The god of divination, whose aura had been profoundly unknowable, suddenly started to disperse, and its descent seemed almost endless. The change in the massive star belonging to the god of divination in the firmament was quickly noticed by the gods. What's going on? What exactly happened? The god of divination, the great god of divination, why would this happen? Many true gods couldn't believe it. Had they not seen it with their own eyes, they would never have imagined such a sight happening to a high and mighty prime god. Divine power and divine body were even depleting. This was a prime god. Since ancient times, even amidst brutal divine wars, prime gods remained high above. Historically, there have indeed been prime gods who mysteriously disappeared, but never because of battles among other prime gods. Backlash. This is a backlash. The god of divination has encountered a backlash. An old upper-rank god seemed to think of something and couldn't help but speak in a low voice. Theoretically, each time the god of divination, who holds the authority of divination, conducts a divination, a price must be paid. The extent of the price depends on the diviner and the divined. Chapter 593 Supreme God. Subscribe please. But the god of divination was too powerful, one of the 24 prime gods who were the strongest in heaven and earth. Even if he divined the secrets of prime gods of the same level, he basically did not have to pay much of a price. Because of this, the vast majority of true gods had forgotten that exercise of the divination authority came with a cost. What exactly is the origin of the Longshan patriarch that made the god of divination pay such a price? Could it have something to do with the legend of the supreme god? The supreme god? The true gods wore solemn expressions. Since the creation of the world, when the first prime god, the god of light, was born, rumors of the supreme god had been circulating. It was said that the supreme god created everything, including the true god forms that the prime gods possessed, which were also bestowed by the supreme god. Why is the number of prime gods fixed at 24? It is because to become a prime god, one must have a true god form. And there are only 24 true god forms. Theoretically, a new prime god is born only when the previous one falls. There have been several instances in history where a prime god vanished, and shortly after, the world reconverged and produced the true god form corresponding to that prime god. Swish. As the true gods were communicating with each other, the god of divination, whose aura and divine body had both plummeted to the bottom, barely held on. What is that? The god of divination's gaze carried a trace of fear. He had used the method of time reversal, attempting to pinpoint the origin of the Longshan patriarch, but in the end he saw no useful scenes, and it was only now that he was recovering from the backlash that had struck him down. The supreme god? The god of divination also immediately thought of the supreme god. He had never seen the supreme god, but under the current circumstances, the backlash that he suffered could only be explained by the legendary supreme god other than which the god of divination could think of no other explanation. The Longshan patriarch actually obtained an opportunity related to the supreme god? The god of divination took a deep breath. He did not believe that the Longshan patriarch was the supreme god, because if that were true, none of what had happened earlier would have occurred. Given the status of the supreme god, a single command would have made even them, prime gods, obediently comply, so how could it be possible for demigods to still be abducted among humans? An opportunity related to the supreme god. A hint of longing flashed in the depths of the god of divination's eyes. Longshan Ling. The many members of the Longshan family had also received the news. Over the years, the Longshan family's influence had radiated throughout the entire plateau of myriad nations. Starting from Longshan Ling naturally, they had made many demigod acquaintances. And a large part of these demigods were connected to true gods from the Ocean of Light. Thus, it was quickly passed to the Longshan family that the divine incarnations of hundreds of true gods, who descended, were all slain by the hands of the Longshan patriarch. The patriarch killed the incarnations of hundreds of true gods? Many of the Longshan family elders were shocked. They had watched the Longshan family grow step by step from being a viscount power to what it was today. Even the longevity the elders enjoyed was a gift from the patriarch. However, no matter how much these family elders admired their own patriarch, when they learned that the incarnations of lofty true gods seemed like ants before Lin Yuan, they were staggered. How could this be possible? Wasn't it said that everything beneath true gods were mere ants? Why were true gods now the ants? My son, has he become a god? Longshan Fong asked dazedly, his understanding being not so high, not clear that ascending to godhood and lifting divine kingdom could not be hidden at all. But if Longshan Yuan could kill hundreds of divine incarnations so easily, the only possibility was that he had also become a god himself. Longshan Fang's wife also looked incredulous. She still remembered Longshan Yuan as the good-for-nothing playboy from before, now to have reached such lofty heights. The patriarch has not become a god. Longshan Ling took the initiative to speak out. That was information revealed by the rank pope, and likely not false. Moreover, any strong being who ascended to godhood must enter the ocean of light or the dark abyss at the first chance, which was an ironclad rule among the gods. But now, the Longshan patriarch was still residing in the cultivation hall of the Great Hall. Not a god. The many members of the Longshan family looked at each other in bewilderment. Most of them were not clear about the significance of what had transpired, but their reverence and admiration for the patriarch instantly deepened. Ocean of Light. The Great Hall of the Gods. Upon the 24 thrones, silhouettes appeared one after another. These figures were all prime gods, not only including those from the Ocean of Light, but also those from the Dark Abyss were converging. Though the factions of the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss were different, and numerous divine wars had occurred over the course of countless years, such matters were for the true gods beneath the prime gods. In the eyes of the prime gods, there was no difference between the Ocean of Light and the Dark Abyss. The 24 prime gods essentially existed on the same level of life, and there was no hatred among them that couldn't be dissolved. At this moment, faced with an opportunity related to the supreme god, they gathered one after the other. Divination, is the Longshan patriarch truly related to the supreme god? Said a figure shrouded in darkness solemnly. He was the dark god. He was the second prime god born in this world. While the Ocean of Light was created by the prime god of light, the Dark Abyss was created by him. If it wasn't related to the supreme god, how would I have fallen into such a predicament? The god of divination replied weakly. Even if barely resisting the backlash, the god of divination was drained of his endowment, with his divine kingdom on the verge of collapse. Such loss would take 1,000,000 years to recover from. Indeed, the dark god's eyes flickered and he said no more. What level is the Longshan patriarch at now? At that moment, a figure shrouded in endless light spoke up. I can confirm that the Longshan patriarch is still a 9th level being. The backlash didn't come from him, the god of divination quickly replied. The Longshan patriarch's strength is greater than any of us here, said the goddess of the magic web with a cold gaze. Not long ago, she had descended in an incarnation, attempting to communicate with the Longshan patriarch, only to be obliterated with a mere gesture from him. Through this brief encounter, the goddess of the magic web vaguely gauged the Longshan patriarch's strength. As long as he has not completely surpassed the 9th level, we can talk about it. A prime god with an ethereal form spoke, his gaze sweeping over the other 23 prime gods. My fellow deities, how shall we deal with the Longshan patriarch? Upon these words, the 23 prime gods exchanged glances, remaining silent. The 24 prime gods had lived for countless years, with even their emotions worn away to a mere fraction, but at this moment, they felt a rekindled hunger. A hunger for an opportunity related to the supreme god. It might help them take a step further to rise above the other prime gods. Then, there would be no distinction between the ocean of light and the dark abyss in this world. You wish to deal with that Longshan patriarch, to seize the opportunity related to the supreme god? The god of divination understood the intentions of the prime gods. In fact, he harbored the same aspiration, for who wouldn't want to advance further? But considering the current state of the god of divination, it was merely wishful thinking. In dealing with the Longshan patriarch, we must exercise extreme caution. Do not forget he resides in the human realm. Even if we join forces, we might not seize the opportunity related to the supreme god and instead shatter the human realm. Another prime god spoke up. Whether it be the chance of the supreme god or the possibility of advancing, the myriad beings of the human realm are the foundation of the prime gods. Right. We need to find a pretext to lure the Longshan patriarch into the ocean of light or the dark abyss. The other prime gods nodded slightly, aware that only in the deep recesses of the ocean of light or the dark abyss, layered by numerous spatial layers, could they act without restraint. Longshan Ling. The Longshan Great Hall. Lin Yuan was still in closed-door cultivation, comprehending the demigod lattice. Your aptitude defies the heavens, observing the nature of the world's rules, your understanding of space continues to rise. Your aptitude defies the heavens, observing the nature of the world's rules, your understanding of space continues to rise. Your aptitude defies the heavens, observing the nature of the world's rules, your understanding of space continues to rise. Accompanying the vast insights merging into his heart, a qualitative change finally occurred, and Lin Yuan suddenly came to. An enlightenment, fully comprehending the basic facet of the spatial essence of this world. So that's how it is. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, his gaze profound. Simultaneously, his inner world began to undergo earth-shattering changes. Chapter 594 Stars Fall Like Rain Upon the Mortal Realm. Please subscribe. The inner world was vast and mighty. Spatial layers were being rapidly opened and derived one after another. Lin Yuan felt it briefly and deduced the current number of spatial layers his inner world occupied. 120 million spatial layers. In the main world prime universe, 9th rank lifeforms, also known as multispatial life, need to occupy as many spatial layers as possible. But 120 million spatial layers. Lin Yuan did not know if, throughout the ancient history of the main world, there had ever been a 9th rank life that had opened such a number of spatial layers. But Lin Yuan had never heard of it. The vast majority of 9th rank lifeforms, after exhausting all their efforts, only managed to open up 10 million spatial layers, and a few managed to reach 20 or 30 million spatial layers at most. Perhaps certain unique and unparalleled special lifeforms might aspire to open 70 or 80 million spatial layers. But more than 100 million spatial layers? Or 120 million? It's not that it wasn't feasible to open them, but normal 9th rank lifeforms simply did not have the lifespan to do so. Even Lin Yuan achieved such a feat in a short time only thanks to the special properties of the divine lattice in this world. Just about there, he said. It's time to try for the true divine nature as well as the true God form. Lin Yuan looked towards the void, as if seeing through the numerous spatial layers, his gaze falling upon the expansive spatial layers of the ocean of light and the dark abyss. At this thought, Lin Yuan actively left the Longshan Great Hall. Patriarch. The patriarch has come out of seclusion. Several members of the Longshan family had long been waiting outside. They had heard the unbelievable news and had gathered immediately outside the Longshan Great Hall. The Longshan Fong couple looked at Lin Yuan, wanting to say something but not knowing where to start. The current Lin Yuan gave the same impression as before. It was somewhat difficult for them to connect him with the Longshan patriarch who killed true god incarnations as if squashing ants. Patriarch, did you really kill those true god incarnations? Longshan Ling finally couldn't help but ask, is what the rank pope said true? Indeed, I killed them, Lin Yuan nodded. With his inner world spatial layers reaching 120 million, he was even confident enough to go up against 10th rank life, hand to hand. In this region of the sky and earth, he was unmatched and unstoppable. It really was the patriarch who killed them. The patriarch was able to kill such numerous true god incarnations. He must possess the strength to kill a true god as well. Upon hearing this, the hearts of the other Longshan family members began to tremble. Learning of this matter from others was completely different from hearing it from their own patriarch. Is our Longshan family going to become a divine spirit family? Tears brimmed in the eyes of many elderly members of the Longshan family. In the plateau of myriad nations, there exist some transcendental forces that are above empires, namely families that have given birth to true gods. These families are the ones that rank just below the various major churches, and they are even often the focus of true gods who ascend to the ocean of light. The Longshan family was also about to join their ranks. This was more shocking than when Lin Yuan previously announced his demigod powers to the outside world. In this land, a true god signifies eternal glory. Lin Yuan glanced at the excited and exhilarated Longshan family members, smiling. "I'm now going to the ocean of light." Going to the ocean of light? Longshan Ling realized then that their patriarch was not an ordinary true god. According to the rank pope, the Longshan patriarch had not yet established a divine kingdom, but he possessed almost invincible true god strength. "Patriarch, what are you going to do in the ocean of light?" Longshan Ling hesitated before finally working up the courage to ask. "I'm going to negotiate a trade with the gods." Lin Yuan didn't hide anything and spoke directly. The trade Lin Yuan was going to discuss with the gods involved them willingly offering up their divine lattices, which he would understand in turn and could give back to them. Indeed, if the gods were willing to cooperate, Lin Yuan could absolutely give them some dignity. Negotiate a trade? Longshan Ling swallowed hard. She noted that Lin Yuan was not speaking of a specific true god, but the gods. What did that imply? Longshan Ling did not dare contemplate it further. The other Longshan family members, however, did not delve into the details. They were still immersed in the joy of the Longshan family soon becoming a divine spirit family. Lin Yuan took a step forward. The stable space in front suddenly ripped open a crack, and a vast world filled with endless light emerged. That was the ocean of light. Lin Yuan continued stepping forward, entering the ocean of light. Immediately, the crack closed rapidly, leaving behind the Longshan family members with shocked expressions. This was also the first time for these ordinary people to see the true sight of the ocean of light, a place desired by countless demigods to glimpse just once, had so easily appeared before everyone. At the ocean of light. Vast and expansive, filled with the breath of endless light. Light. Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. It was said that the very first prime god in this world was the main god of light, controlling all the light in the world. Just as Lin Yuan entered the ocean of light. In the sanctuary where the 24 prime gods gathered, the face of the main god of light changed slightly. The Longshan patriarch has arrived at the ocean of light. The main god of light declared immediately. The ocean of light was created by him, and the main god of light had complete control over every subtle change in it. What? That Longshan patriarch actually dares to come here on his own? We were just thinking of how to lure the Longshan patriarch here, and now he's shown up himself? The remaining 23 prime gods were somewhat incredulous but quickly realized this presented an unprecedented opportunity. The Longshan patriarch was unaware of their true combined strength, which is why he dared to come of his own volition. I have sealed off the ocean of light. Now all divine spirits, including us prime gods, are unable to leave for a short time. Chapter 595 Stars Fall Like Rain on Earth. Seeking subscriptions? _2 The prime god surveyed his surroundings. First, let's see what the Longshan patriarch has to say. If he's willing to share the opportunity of the supreme god with us, we can allow him to join us. This statement immediately won the approval of the other prime gods. If they could obtain the opportunity of the supreme god peacefully, they naturally wouldn't want to fight desperately. Who knows what kind of cards the Longshan patriarch holds, for him to dare come knocking so boldly. He must be confident. Even though they, the 24 prime gods, were confident in suppressing the Longshan patriarch, they might still be forcefully exchanged by him for a few of their number. No prime god was confident that they wouldn't be the ones exchanged. This spatial layer has been sealed? Lin Yuan, having only just arrived at the Ocean of Light, immediately noticed the changes in the spatial layer. Such a feeble seal. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. With his power, he only needed to gently tear it to shatter such a seal. However, his purpose for coming here was for the divine lattices of the gods. The sealing of the Ocean of Light was precisely to Lin Yuan's liking. While Lin Yuan was pondering, several figures began to appear in the distance. They were the many true gods who had been ordered by the prime god to hurry over. Is that the Longshan Patriarch? Fortuitously gained the opportunity of the Supreme God? The Supreme God, oh, that's an existence even we true gods can't look up to. I had always thought the Supreme God was a fiction. I didn't expect he really existed. The many true gods looked at Lin Yuan with various emotions in their eyes: awe, greed, excitement, curiosity, and more. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just then, 24 figures silently appeared above the many true gods. These 24 figures seemed eternal, emanating an almost immortal aura. 24 prime gods? The 12 prime gods from the dark abyss have also come? It seems today the Longshan Patriarch is in great peril. The opportunity of the Supreme God, if the prime gods can vie for it, so can I. The various true gods had different thoughts. In their eyes, Longshan Yuan was merely a common Viscount heir among mortals, who, after gaining the opportunity of the Supreme God, had suddenly reached this level of strength. If that opportunity of the Supreme God fell into their hands, might they not hope to surpass the prime gods? Longshan Patriarch. Just then, a towering prime god with golden dragon horns on his head spoke. He was the Rainbow Dragon God, the source of faith for all dragons in the world. Strictly speaking, the Rainbow Dragon clan bloodline within Lin Yuan came from this prime god. What brings you here today? The Rainbow Dragon God inquired, staring at Lin Yuan. Although he greatly desired the opportunity of the Supreme God within Lin Yuan, the more it was at times like these, the less he could afford to show any impatience. I have come here to propose a trade, Lin Yuan said with a smile. He looked at the many true gods and the 24 prime gods, his heart also full of expectation. How many layers would these divine lattices and true god forms expand his spatial layers to? A trade? You want to negotiate a trade with us? The Rainbow Dragon God was slightly taken aback, as were the other 23 prime gods. What trade? The prime god of light directly asked. I would like to borrow everyone's divine lattice, Lin Yuan said. Upon hearing this, not only did the 24 prime gods fall silent, but the many true gods below also fell silent. The divine lattice is the absolute core of a deity. Handing over one's divine lattice to someone else is tantamount to entrusting them with one's life. Especially for the prime gods, their status stems from their true god forms. Handing over the true god form, should Lin Yuan harbor ill intentions, they would be doomed without redemption. Longshan Patriarch, you are too arrogant, the dark god said coldly. You want us to hand over our divine lattice? What do you intend to offer in exchange? Though there was no agreement to Lin Yuan's proposal, the dark god still wished to know what Lin Yuan had in mind for the trade. As long as you hand over your divine lattices, I will spare your lives, Lin Yuan said frankly. Ha ha ha, it seems, Longshan Patriarch, you are quite confident in dealing with us? And you'll spare us? Today, you better just stay put in the Ocean of Light. Many prime gods and true gods were amused, even though Lin Yuan demonstrated spatial skills surpassing those of ordinary prime gods. But now, they had 24 prime gods and a large number of true gods. Even if the strength of the Longshan Patriarch was formidable, it was impossible for him to contend against them. The power held by the 24 prime gods corresponded to the origin source forces of this realm, which was why they were confident they could suppress Lin Yuan. As long as they joined forces, no one could stop them unless it was the Supreme God himself. It seems negotiations are off the table. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Persuading the gods to voluntarily hand over their divine lattice was indeed challenging. However, for Lin Yuan, the impact wasn't significant. He could simply take it himself if needed. Longshan Patriarch, hand over the supreme god opportunity, and we will let you go. The main god of rank spoke up. Originally, his subordinate spirits had planned to recruit the Longshan patriarch, thus he still harbored a sense of compassion towards Lin Yuan. Right, hand over the supreme god opportunity, and all will be well. The opportunity of the supreme god is not something you can enjoy alone. The other prime gods immediately said, staring intently at Lin Yuan, their eyes filled with longing. They no longer hid their intentions, directly demanding the supreme god's opportunity from Lin Yuan. As for whether this would enrage the supreme god? If the supreme god truly did not wish them to obtain the supreme opportunity, the prime gods wouldn't have had any contact with Lin Yuan at all. Since up to this point, the supreme god had given no indication, it meant that the supreme god's opportunity in the hands of the Longshan patriarch could be seized. The supreme god's opportunity? Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow. Never mind, there's no point in arguing with you. Since you all wish to die, I will satisfy you. Upon saying this, all the true gods were a bit astonished, and the 24 prime gods tensed up. Although they were greedy, reason still prevailed. Considering how domineering the Longshan patriarch had been up to this point, could he really possess the power to sweep through numerous true gods and the 24 prime gods? However, before the true gods and the 24 prime gods could react, Lin Yuan raised his right hand, instantly occupying 1,200,000,000 spatial layers, and a terrifying force swept over all true gods and prime gods. The first to feel despair were the many true gods, who immediately sensed everything about themselves beginning to shatter, their physical souls and more. No, a large number of true gods turned into dust. Even the oldest upper-rank gods were unable to resist even a fraction of Lin Yuan's strike, and their wills instantly plunged into darkness, leaving only their sparkling divine lattices in place. 1,200,000,000 spatial layers shook back and forth, quickly enveloping the 24 prime gods. Each prime god looked terrified. They tried to hide deeper into the spatial layers, only to find every layer they could occupy was also covered by Lin Yuan's strike. Longshan Ling outside the Longshan Great Hall. The members of the Longshan family were still excitedly discussing. Was that the ocean of light just now? The holiest world where the gods reside. I didn't expect the patriarch could enter whenever he wanted. Nonsense, with the patriarch's strength evident, even in the ocean of light, he must be among the most formidable spirits, just below the prime gods. The faces of the people from the Longshan family were full of pride. Right, just now the patriarch mentioned negotiating a deal with the gods. What does that mean? A family member seemed to think of something and couldn't help but raise their own question. Should be just the normal meaning of a trade, right? Not sure, but since it's a negotiation, it could either succeed or fail. Right, but what if the patriarch fails to negotiate with the gods? The members of the Longshan family thought about it and couldn't help but show a worried expression on their faces. Hopefully, the patriarch didn't already have a conflict or misunderstanding with the gods just after entering the ocean of light. Just then, a family member from the Longshan family seemed to have noticed something, their voice trembling a bit. Look up at the sky. The sky! Though puzzled, the people of the Longshan family looked toward the expanse above. But upon doing so, they witnessed a scene they would never forget in their lifetimes. They saw that, originally in the firmament above, eternal stars were suspended. However, under everyone's incredulous gazes, one of the stars began to fall, followed by a cluster of stars falling, and then stars across the entire firmament fell. Dense and numerous stars, suspended in the sky for perhaps tens of thousands of years, all began to fall simultaneously like a meteor shower. Stars rained down upon the earth. Chapter 596 Twilight of the Gods. Subscribe please. Outside the Longshan Great Hall. Many members of the Longshan family, trembling in spirit, looked up at the sky. Their massive stars fell from the heavens like raindrops. It was not merely a few stars falling, but large swathes and indeed every star across the entire sky. This was simply unthinkable. Everyone's mind was muddled, staring dumbfounded at the shocking scene before them. You must understand, in this world, the stars above were not just stars, They were the abode of the gods in the divine kingdoms, symbolizing the immortality of the deities. Even those without any belief held the stars above with utmost reverence, the pinnacle of what life could achieve. For ages, in nearly everyone's eyes, the stars above were eternal, unchanged from their birth until their death, and from their descendants' birth until their death, always the same stars. Thus, to many people, the stars above seemed as eternal as the world itself. But now, the worldview of many members of the Longshan family began to shatter as the stars all began to fall simultaneously. What's going on? The stars, those are the divine kingdoms of the deities. How could they fall? The fall of the divine kingdoms means the deities are perishing, but how is that possible? Deities are immortal, how could they perish? The members of the Longshan family couldn't believe it. Some even thought they were dreaming, slapping themselves several times, only to find they could still feel pain, horror nearly overflowing in their hearts. This is bad. The clan leader just entered the ocean of light. The rapid fall of the divine kingdoms clearly indicates something drastic has happened in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness. Could something have happened to the clan leader? A few heads of the Longshan family thought further. Lin Yuan was a pillar of their clan, about to lead the family to the peak of the plateau of myriad nations, and now this had happened? I hope nothing has happened to the clan leader. A few elders of the Longshan family silently thought. Above the sky, countless stars that had hung in the sky for eons began to fall all at once, and not only the Longshan family could see it. At this moment, in the vast realms of humanity, plateau of myriad nations, and other places teeming with life, beings also noticed the changes above. Are the stars falling? Are the deities perishing? How is this possible? How could so many deities perish at once? In many secluded corners, demigods who had survived tens or hundreds of thousands of years were equally stunned. They had lived longer, knew the history of the past, and were aware of the existence of divine wars. Deities were not incapable of perishing, it was just that they lived for so long that almost all beings believed them to be eternal. But in reality, deities could die, such as during the divine wars. During a divine war, true gods of the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness would slaughter each other, leading to the perishing of deities. But even in the most brutal divine wars, the death of several dozen or even hundreds of deities was the maximum, but now, the number of fallen stars is in the thousands? Many demigod veterans felt their hearts slow, because the scene before them was too soul-shattering. Some even wondered if the gods of the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness had been wiped out in one fell swoop. Otherwise, how could so many stars fall at once? What exactly is going on? What really happened in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness? Could it be that the 24 prime gods are jointly slaughtering the deities? Many demigod veterans couldn't help but speculate in this direction, their faces unconsciously showing fear. The only ones capable of causing such mass perishing of true gods were the prime gods, and not just one but 24 prime gods in a joint massacre. If even one prime god disagreed and resisted, the frequency of falling stars wouldn't be this rapid. From the area and range of the falling stars, demigod veterans vaguely deduced that a one-sided massacre of true gods was taking place in the ocean of light or the abyss of darkness. This massacre was one-sided, with the slaughtered true gods having no power to resist. This made all the demigod veterans somewhat disheartened. They did not know how much they had sacrificed to ignite their divine fire, step into the 7th level, then lie in hiding, secretly gathering faith, hoping to consolidate a divine kingdom and elevating it. And yet, now they saw the true gods, whom they considered their ultimate goal, being slaughtered in the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness like pigs and dogs. Could the deities they revered so highly also have such weak moments when they couldn't determine their own fates and could only wait to die? For a moment, many demigod veterans were unstable, and the divine fires they had ignited began to flicker. What's the use of gathering faith anymore? Elevating which divine kingdom? Even if one became a true god and entered the ocean of light, what could they do? It might not even be as safe or as comfortable as the human realm. Why would the prime gods slaughter the true gods? For faith? That doesn't make sense. The 24 prime gods already occupy the majority of faith in humanity. Even if they cleanse all the true gods, their own faith won't undergo a qualitative change. Is it because they are worried about their positions being threatened? That's also unlikely. Not to mention the power disparity between a prime god and a true god, the number of prime gods is fixed. Even if there were an outstandingly talented true god, without the true god form, they still couldn't become a prime god, let alone shake the position of a prime god. Chapter 597 Twilight of the Gods, subscribe please. Too many demigod old monsters were communicating rapidly. As many as 24 upper-rank gods, actually entering the arena to slaughter ordinary true gods. A relatively younger demigod said indignantly, wanting to condemn the 24 prime gods. Just at this moment, in the higher sky, situated above all the stars, hung 24 colossal stars, which belonged to the divine kingdoms of the prime gods. And now, following the fall of star after star to the mortal realm, these 24 colossal stars also began to fall one by one. In just a few breaths, more than 10 prime gods' divine kingdoms had plummeted to the mortal world. This silenced the demigods of the mortal realm who were condemning and criticizing the 24 prime gods, and immediately after, they plunged into confusion. It turned out that it was not only the true gods that were perishing. Were the prime gods also perishing? This scene filled all the demigods with an unprecedented terror. The prime gods were falling, and it was a mass downfall at that. Then who exactly was the one carrying out the slaughter? If the 24 prime gods were joining forces to slaughter the true gods, how could the prime gods possibly be falling as well? It is known, the battles between prime gods are long, and even for the strongest light prime god and the dark god, killing the weakest prime god is almost impossible. Not to mention a crushing defeat like this? What on earth happened in the ocean of light and the dark abyss? Murmured an elderly demigod whose lifespan was coming to an end and whose divine fire was about to go out. Even the prime gods were perishing, something that not even a divine war had ever seen. It's the twilight of the gods, this is the twilight of the gods. Another demigod thought silently to himself. The gods here refer to both true gods and prime gods. Not good, the divine kingdoms falling into the mortal realm will have an immeasurable impact on the mortal world, speculated one demigod, seemingly recalling something. Even the mighty demigods were shocked by the sight of the stars falling from the sky, but very few of them considered what consequences these stars falling into the mortal realm might lead to. Years ago, the divine wars of the gods caused several stars to fall into the mortal realm, leading to irreversible destructive effects on the mortal world. Tens of thousands of years have not recovered, and those forbidden and desolate places in the mortal realm are exactly where the divine kingdoms ultimately fell. After all, what fell were not mere stars, but divine kingdoms, containing vast amounts of energy. The fallout from just a few stars was severe enough. Now with the stars cascading, and among them, even more vast divine kingdoms of the prime gods. If these divine kingdoms really hit the ground, perhaps the mortal realm might still exist, but 9 out of 10 of all living beings dwelling there would surely perish. These demigod old monsters wouldn't be likely to survive much longer either. This is not the twilight of the gods, this is the apocalypse of all beings, proclaimed a demigod who showed himself, not caring to hide any longer, for in any case all would die. As for running? With the speed at which the stars fell to the mortal world, where could the demigods possibly flee? And with so many stars falling together, no matter how far they ran, they would still be within the range of the divine kingdoms. Just as many demigods turned pale, realizing they were about to face death. A black and white yin-yang barrier, slicing across the vast mortal realm in the form of a giant net, caught all the stars falling into the mortal world within its grasp. At the ends of the mortal realm, Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits, the Taiyin primordial spirit and the Taiyang divine spirit, stood aloft in the sky. The giant net of yin-yang taiji that sliced through the entire mortal realm was precisely Lin Yuan's doing. Long ago, Lin Yuan had his sights set on the divine kingdoms of the gods, which had existed for tens of thousands of years, absorbing countless faith and containing massive amounts of pure energy. Now that Lin Yuan's true body had gone to negotiate in the ocean of light with the gods, should the negotiations fail and fighting begin, Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't waste the falling stars. Even if he had no use for them himself, he could use the primal force to revert all divine kingdoms back to their original source, turning them into the purest energy for the origin fine gold to absorb. With indirect means, they were brought back to the main world. Whoosh! Along with the unfurling of the immense yin-yang taiji net of black and white, countless divine kingdoms of the gods appeared within Lin Yuan's inner world. To accommodate so many divine kingdoms at once, even including those of prime gods, would certainly cause the inner world of any other ninth-rank powerhouse to burst. Yet, the apparent size of Lin Yuan's inner world was close to 200 million miles in diameter, and it even established 120 million spatial layers. Most importantly, Lin Yuan had 3 such inner worlds. One for his true self, one for the Taiyang divine spirit, and one for the Taiyin primordial spirit. For 300 years, Lin Yuan's 2 primordial spirits had already used the illusory reality secret technique to turn into flesh and blood, and then, with the aid of the mysterious gourd, they amplified their physical bodies and inner worlds to the current limit. Too many. Lin Yuan's mind was filled with pleasure. As each divine kingdom entered his inner world, it was quickly dissolved, segregated, and then integrated into the bell-shaped origin fine gold. The vast mortal realm. The numerous demigods who were just preparing to close their eyes and await death suddenly discovered an extra layer of black and white yin-yang taiji giant net under the vault of heaven. All stars falling into the mortal realm disappeared the moment they touched the giant net, as if they had never existed. What is this? It actually stopped the divine kingdoms from falling down? The many ancient demigods couldn't believe it. Divine kingdoms falling from atop the sky carried terrifying energy and impact, definitely far surpassing a single strike from a true god burning their divine body and divine powers. Countless stars falling were akin to the gods igniting everything in a final blaze of glory. Even the prime gods dared not withstand it directly. But now, under that black and white giant net, all falling stars were easily nullified, including the vast divine kingdoms of prime gods. The owner of this giant net. Some ancient demigods trembled inwardly, faintly guessing that the owner of the giant net might be the source behind the fall of the gods and the prime gods. Otherwise, how could things be so coincidental? The stars suspended in the heavens had just started to fall, and they were immediately caught by the giant net? And the strength to effortlessly bear the impact of so many stars falling, couldn't the slaughter of gods and prime gods also be within the realm of possibility? Ocean of light. Under the strike driven by Lin Yuan's inner world, a terrifying force crushed everything it touched through layer upon layer of space. In just an instant, over 80% of true gods had perished, and the remaining 20% were upper-rank gods at their peak. Even if reduced to dust, they could reconvene. The divine beings of this part of the world had undergone a transformation, foregoing their original flesh and blood bodies. Their divine bodies were composed of the purest faith. There were no weaknesses. However, it's unfortunate that under the strike that vibrated through multiple spatial layers time and again, no matter how many times these upper-rank gods reconvened, they would turn to dust once more. Even the lofty prime gods, caught off guard, saw their divine bodies shatter numerous times. Lin Yuan's strike primarily targeted the prime gods. As for the true gods, they mostly only endured the aftershocks. Thus, before a small number of true gods had entirely perished, some prime gods had begun to fall. What exactly is this? What level of power is this? Goddess of the magic web, didn't you say that the Longshan patriarch didn't surpass the 9th level? This is a supreme god. This is the power at the level of a supreme god. One by one, the prime gods roared, using every method to resist the strike that pierced through countless spatial layers, but to no avail. Their divine bodies shattered over and over again. Even with the profound depths of the prime gods, they couldn't endure such repeated destruction. Go! The dark god from the dark abyss didn't hesitate to try and flee, but quickly encountered the barrier of spatial layers sealed by the light god. Light god, you deserve to die. The prime gods of the dark abyss cursed the light god in their hearts. The barrier sealing the ocean of light's spatial layers, to beings like these prime gods, posed difficulty to break, but it was just difficulty. It would simply take some time. But now, where was there any time? Prime god after prime god from the dark abyss tried to escape, but failed to do so. Chapter 598 Endless Realizations, Never Fully Understood. Subscribe please. Longshan Patriarch, we are willing to submit. Yes, we are willing to offer our divine lattice, as long as the Longshan Patriarch spares our lives and commands us at will hereafter. We also ask the Longshan Patriarch for mercy. Witnessing true gods and even prime gods falling one after another, the surviving gods were instantly chilled to the bone and began to beg for mercy. Even the divine spirits who had lived through long ages trembled with fear in the face of life and death. Compared to death, offering up their divine lattice seemed like an acceptable sacrifice, especially since Lin Yuan's displayed power had clearly surpassed the prime god, reaching the level of a supreme god. To plead with a supreme god was not a shameful thing. Willing to submit? Lin Yuan's expression was calm, unmoved. If Lin Yuan had entered the ocean of light intending to negotiate with the gods, and they had agreed to his demands, offering their divine lattice voluntarily, Lin Yuan really wouldn't have exterminated them all. But now, having already taken action, Lin Yuan had killed so many true gods and prime gods, it seemed somewhat redundant to accept the gods' submission at this point. After all, Lin Yuan's time in this world was only 1,110 years. These gods submitting now would surely be reluctant and unwilling. Once Lin Yuan ended his journey and returned to the main world, what actions these gods might take once they lost the deterrence of Lin Yuan was unpredictable. Therefore, with the intention of eradicating them from the roots, since Lin Yuan had chosen to take action, there was no need to leave any leeway. Voluntarily offering the divine lattice? Even if they didn't offer it, Lin Yuan could take it himself. And he could also gain a divine kingdom containing vast energies, useful for enhancing the origin fine gold. How to choose was clear to Lin Yuan. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by terrifying energy vibrations, the spatial layers shook intensely. Within the ocean of light, all true gods had completely perished, unable to withstand such overwhelming power, no matter how ancient. Only 8 prime gods survived. Even so, these 8 prime gods had paid a heavy price, their energies severely depleted. From the moment Lin Yuan had started to act until now, it had been less than 10 breaths' time. Open! The prime god of light burned his divine power, finally unlocking the spatial layer's seal of the ocean of light. Run! Hurry and run! The remaining 8 prime gods, not daring to hesitate, occupied deeper spatial layers and quickly distanced themselves from the ocean of light. Lin Yuan stood in place, his gaze deep. The prime gods were the darlings of this world, and the true divine nature embodied some of the authority of this world. The prime gods mustered their strength to flee, and even if Lin Yuan opened 120 million layers of space, it would be difficult to stop them in a short time. After all, essentially, Lin Yuan and the 9th rank prime gods still existed at the same life level, albeit Lin Yuan's foundation was slightly stronger. As long as they were in this world, the prime gods' methods of escape would far surpass those of regular 9th stage peak powerhouses. Initially, Lin Yuan hadn't expected his venture into the ocean of light would result in the death of so many prime gods at once. Lin Yuan had planned to settle all true gods, while the remaining prime gods were to be hunted down one by one. The prime gods had indeed powerful escaping tactics, but if pressed hard, once Lin Yuan controlled more and more vast and deep spatial layers, these prime gods would still be like birds in a cage, still manageable. What Lin Yuan hadn't anticipated was the cooperation from the prime god of light, who had voluntarily sealed the ocean of light, turning the dwelling place of the gods into a complete prison, giving Lin Yuan the opportunity to directly eliminate 16 prime gods. Before Lin Yuan's arrival, the strongest life in this world were the prime gods, and many of the machinations within the ocean of light were targeted at the prime gods. The initial sealing of the ocean of light's spatial layers was meant to briefly trap the other prime gods. Unexpectedly, this now became the death warrant for all prime gods. In fact, under such circumstances, with Lin Yuan's power fully unleashed, Both true gods and prime gods would have died within 5 breaths. However, such a forceful unleashing of power was too terrifying, and Lin Yuan was worried about damaging the true divine nature and prime divine nature within the gods. The divine lattice was not indestructible. Lin Yuan could easily destroy the demigod lattice if he wished. True divine nature might be vastly more robust than the demigod lattice, but it might not withstand a full blow from Lin Yuan, and as for the prime divine nature, it might withstand it or it might not. But Lin Yuan didn't want to gamble. After all, each divine lattice, prime divine nature, represented a shortcut for Lin Yuan, their value far greater than the true gods and prime gods themselves. So when he had acted just now, Lin Yuan had been extremely cautious, carefully regulating his strength to avoid affecting any divine lattice or prime divine nature. The prime divine nature of the god of divination? Lin Yuan raised his right hand. A luminescent white divine lattice slowly floated, belonging to the god of divination among the 24 prime gods. In the initial wave of crushing power, the god of divination was the first prime god to fall, not because the god of divination had the weakest survival capabilities. In fact, the god of divination's capability to survive ranked among the top 3 out of the 24 prime gods. The easy death of the god of divination was entirely due to the backlash from the door to the myriad realms, with only 1/10 of its strength remaining. With the god of divination's nature having suffered such a blow, it should have hidden within its divine kingdom and not come out. But the opportunity related to a supreme god was too tempting. Even knowing its severely wounded state, the god of divination still wanted to join in. What if it fortuitously received the opportunity from a supreme god? Chapter 599 Endless Comprehension. There's simply no end to it. Please subscribe. Thus, harboring such thoughts, the god of divination became the first prime god to completely perish. Time main god form? Lin Yuan carefully examined the bright white crystal in his hand. During the recent confrontation with the prime god, Lin Yuan had been especially cautious. As soon as the prime god's divine body utterly dissipated, Lin Yuan immediately acted to protect the fallen true god form. It's cracked in parts. Lin Yuan observed for a while and noticed the rifts on the divine lattice. It was precisely these cracks that had resulted in the god of divination's significant loss of strength. Facing Lin Yuan's strike, combined with the supreme god of light's action to block the spatial layers, the god of divination could only withstand the initial waves of obliteration before completely perishing. Those fissures must have been caused by the backlash from the door to the myriad realms, Lin Yuan thought to himself, noticing that the cracks had appeared some time ago. The impact should be minimal. Lin Yuan gazed at the time main god form, and through this key, Lin Yuan glimpsed the vast and mysterious essence of the rule of time in this world. I'll ponder it later. Lin Yuan collected his thoughts and solemnly placed the time main god form into his inner world. In the meantime, Lin Yuan glanced at the nearby hillock. It was composed of true divine lattices, and essentially all the existing true gods from the ocean of light over billions of years were there. To be precise, all divine lattices were there. A myriad of rules. Lin Yuan's gaze heated slightly as he looked at the hillock-shaped divine lattices, with numerous insights beginning to flood his mind. Hold back, hold back. Lin Yuan's consciousness exited the inner world. The last 8 prime gods? Lin Yuan looked towards the other spatial layers. Earlier, as soon as he acted, Lin Yuan had marked all of the prime gods, ensuring that no matter where they fled, they could not escape his perception. In fact, there was no need for marks. Merely by locking onto them with the law of cause and effect, he could determine the locations of those prime gods. Lin Yuan took direct action against the prime gods, creating the most intense causal effect, which, to those adept in the law of cause and effect, was undoubtedly a guiding light. Let them run for now. I will first deal with those true gods from the dark abyss. Lin Yuan casually tore through the spatial layers and stepped into the spatial layer where the dark abyss was located. This world was only so big. Even if those 8 prime gods fled, they could not possibly leave this world. Prime gods held the authority of heaven and earth and could not leave it. Once they did, the true god form within them would disintegrate. And somewhere in this world, a new true god form would recongeal. That is why, throughout history, the number of prime gods in this world has always remained at 24, neither increasing nor decreasing. Even if there were occasional historical instances of prime gods mysteriously vanishing, their true god forms would re-emerge within this world. That was also why Lin Yuan let the 8 prime gods escape. 1. Intercepting them was troublesome and might not be achievable. If too much force was used, there was a risk of damaging the true god forms. 2. The true god forms he most desired would not leave this world. In the deeper layers of space of the spatial layers, the dark god was fleeing in terror and unease. I should never have meddled in this turmoil. What chances related to the supreme god? All nonsense. The dark god's mind was still trembling with fear. The experience within the ocean of light had utterly terrified him. The divine body he thought indestructible showed such frailty before the Longshan patriarch. The dark god felt that if the supreme god of light had activated the blockade of the spatial layers just a few dozen breaths slower, he might have ended up permanently in the ocean of light, just like those other true gods. Terrifying, utterly terrifying. The dark god's scalp tingled, but now I'm hiding in such a deep layer of the spatial layers, and I'm continuously on the move. That Longshan patriarch, finding me won't be easy. What? The true gods of the dark abyss are being slaughtered by the Longshan patriarch and are calling for my help? The dark god felt something and was slightly moved. As the second-born prime god of this world, the dark god had established the dark abyss and was deeply connected to it, responsive to the calls of the many true gods within it. But at this moment, I can barely save myself. How could I care for you? The dark god silently thought. You can call to me, but who can I call upon? The dark god felt helpless. Since proclaiming himself a prime god, he had never experienced such a dire escape as he did now, not even in the long-lasting battles with his archenemy, the supreme god of light, had he felt such despair. A moment later, Lin Yuan left the dark abyss. It's your turn now. Lin Yuan gazed into a certain spatial layer, where a prime god from the ocean of light was fleeing. Rainbow dragon god? Lin Yuan's figure disappeared once again, pursuing his quarry. Deep within the spatial layers, a rainbow divine dragon, millions of feet in length, was frantically escaping. With each movement of its dragon body, it traversed a vast number of spatial layers. Just then, the spatial layer where the million-feet-long rainbow divine dragon was, got claimed in an instant, and a figure appeared in front of the rainbow dragon god. It was Lin Yuan, Longshan patriarch. The rainbow dragon god, somewhat desperate, said, "How can you be so fast?" As the prime god of the rainbow dragon clan, the rainbow dragon god was adept at manipulating space rules, but he hadn't expected Lin Yuan to catch up in such a short time. Do you have any last words you'd like to say? Lin Yuan said in a calm tone. In actuality, he was seizing the opportunity to occupy more spatial layers, for a battle between 9th-rank life forms essentially unfolded across countless spatial layers. Even if Lin Yuan opened up numerous spatial layers, he had to fully occupy them to form an absolute advantage. Before that complete occupation, a prime god proficient in space rules like the Rainbow Dragon god still had a chance to escape. Longshan Patriarch, I can feel the blood of my Rainbow Dragon clan flowing within you. The Rainbow Dragon god looked at Lin Yuan and said, in a way, we are still kin. The Rainbow Dragon god started to appeal to Lin Yuan for connection. At this moment, he was willing to do anything to survive. Kin. Lin Yuan smiled faintly. When he had been asked to hand over the opportunity related to the Supreme God earlier, no one had mentioned kinship. Now, facing death, they were invoking kinship? I can see that you are also moving through the gaps between spatial layers to more distant depths of space, Lin Yuan stated directly. While he continued to occupy more spatial layers, the Rainbow Dragon god likewise wouldn't just wait to be killed. He was trying every effort to survive. In a direct confrontation, considering the combat power Lin Yuan had exhibited in the Ocean of Light, the Rainbow Dragon god knew it was impossible to catch up by any means. So he attempted to use his innate talent to shift instantly between spatial layers. But clearly, the Rainbow Dragon god's plan couldn't be concealed from Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan, who had occupied 1,200,000,000 spatial layers, had reached a terrifying realm in his perception of the nuances of space. Die. A moment later, Lin Yuan had already occupied 1,200,000,000 spatial layers in this place, and with a thought, a tremendous force crushed down upon the Rainbow Dragon God. No. The Rainbow Dragon God watched helplessly as all this unfolded. He tried to continue fleeing into even more distant spatial layers, but found it impossible as the space around him was completely sealed off. To think I would also meet a complete downfall one day? To die under the power of a supreme god-level force, perhaps it's worth it. The Rainbow Dragon God's divine body disintegrated. At the same time, a true god form imbued with a rainbow gleam fell down, which Lin Yuan caught in his hand. This true god form? Lin Yuan examined it closely. Compared to the other prime god forms Lin Yuan had obtained, the Rainbow Dragon God's was somewhat special, containing 7 different powers, or more accurately, 7 types of rules. It was regrettable that facing Lin Yuan, who had an overwhelming advantage, the Rainbow Dragon God did not even get a chance to use the 7 rules he possessed before dying. 7 more to go. Lin Yuan put away the true god form. His figure disappeared once again. As time slowly passed, all the demigods in the vast mortal world now focused their eyes on the sky above. The celestial vault, once studded with bright stars, was now dim and lightless, except for 5 or 6 massive stars that symbolized prime gods and still twinkled. But clearly, the remaining 5 or 6 stars wouldn't last long either, and soon after, 2 more fell. All the beings of the mortal world, countless creatures, fell silent, witnessing this unprecedented and shocking event. Chapter 600 Founding the Martial Realm. Please subscribe. Longshan Ling outside the Longshan Great Hall. Many members of the Longshan family were likewise gazing at the dark, lightless sky. Once, that was where the eternal divine kingdom of the gods resided, revered by all beings. How do I feel that the patriarch is still alive? The bloodline still exists? A core member of the Longshan family couldn't help but say. In this world, numerous night cultivation skills, and even the martial Tao cultivation skill indigenous to Lin Yuan, are all centered around the bloodline. Essentially, they are all about constantly exploring the ultimate potential of the bloodline. In the face of drastically shortening lifespans, comprehending external laws, the efficiency is too slow. Only by relying on the innate potential of one's own bloodline could one hope to ignite the divine fire before 1,000 years, ascend to the rank of 7th-layer demigod, and then plot to uplift a divine kingdom. Therefore, the powers of this world are extremely sensitive to bloodline perception, especially towards clan members sharing the same bloodline. As the strongest individual and patriarch of the Longshan family, Lin Yuan, although many clan members could not specifically sense Lin Yuan's bloodline, the fall of such an existence, the extinction of the bloodline, would be felt by all members of the Longshan family, causing a sorrow that emanated from the depths of their bloodline. But up to now, all members of the Longshan family had not felt such a sensation, especially Lin Yuan's parents, the Longshan Fong couple. They also did not sense their son's death. The patriarch isn't dead? Many members of the Longshan family widened their eyes, some unable to react. They had witnessed their patriarch entering the ocean of light, and now with such a great event occurring in the abode of the gods, with the gods perishing, their patriarch was still alive? It wasn't that they wished for the patriarch to die, but with the gods almost all dead, and the prime god nearly extinct, the patriarch also being in the ocean of light, how could it be that nothing at all had happened to him? Even though many members of the Longshan family had an almost blind faith in their patriarch, they never arrogantly believed that the patriarch's strength was greater than that of all the other gods and the prime god combined. Unless a few elderly members of the Longshan family's complexions slightly shifted, a dreadful guess faintly surfacing in their hearts. This guess was incredibly unbelievable, but did the unforeseen events unfolding fit only this inconceivable guess? Longshan Ling and a few other trusted subordinates of the clan leaders exchanged glances, the same conjecture emerging in their minds. That is, the horrifying scene causing this twilight of the gods before them, was it related to their patriarch? Or to put it plainly, Was it done by their patriarch himself? This conjecture was supported by two pieces of evidence. First, the swift downfall of the gods began right after the patriarch entered the ocean of light. An occurrence never seen in eons happening just as the patriarch went in? If it were just this, everyone might not be suspicious and at most feel that their patriarch was unlucky. But up till now, the patriarch's bloodline had not perished and was still very much alive, in stark contrast with the dark and desolate sky. Is the patriarch slaughtering the gods? The souls of Lin and other trusted subordinates trembled, many of them having witnessed Lin Yuan's growth. Over hundreds of years, Lin Yuan had created countless myths, even effortlessly breaking free from the bloodline shackles of the first-generation Baron Longshan, becoming the first 7th-rank demigod in the history of the Longshan family. However, no matter what, one couldn't possibly overthrow the gods with individual power, could they? Let's wait for the patriarch to return, then we can ask him. Ling inhaled deeply, although after eliminating all other possibilities, the remaining implausible possibility, no matter how fantastical, was nevertheless the truth. But without the patriarch's personal confirmation, they were still somewhat incredulous. Deep within the numerous spatial layers, Lin Yuan was strolling leisurely, quickly closing the distance on the spatial layers with the figure frantically fleeing ahead. Prime God of Light. Lin Yuan looked towards the last remaining prime god. He was the first prime god born of this world, and also the most powerful among the 24 prime gods. Throughout the long years, the dark god fought against him and mostly emerged the loser. Longshan Patriarch, you are not a supreme god, you are definitely not a supreme god. The prime god of light despaired internally, continually breaking through layers of space, trying to reach the deepest region of this world's space. Whether I am a supreme god or not has no significance as to whether you can survive, Lin Yuan said calmly. Previously, the prime god of light had summoned the other 23 prime gods and many true gods, trying to suppress Lin Yuan and seize what they believed to be the chance of the supreme god, with no mercy shown. If it hadn't been for Lin Yuan's strength being formidable enough, had he encountered the assault of the prime god of light during his 7th or 8th layer period, it would be he who would be fleeing desperately now. In dealing with enemies, Lin Yuan always eradicated them root and branch, and regarding the innocent, as long as they were true gods, they had all climbed atop countless commoners' corpses. What hadn't they done to gather faith? The mother goddess of lust established the lust church, tempting those high officials and nobles with carnal delights. But were those beautiful young women who seduced the high and mighty somehow deserving of their fate? In the eyes of the gods and the prime gods, beings were fodder to raise them, mere ants, just dust. As long as they didn't kill too many at a time, affecting the supply of faith, they had no scruples whatsoever. Now, regarding the gods and the prime gods as ants was in no way improper for Lin Yuan. Longshan Patriarch, as long as you let me go, I have the secrets of the supreme god to tell you. Sensing Lin Yuan drawing ever closer, the prime god of light immediately called out loudly. Chapter 601 Founding the Martial Realm. Please subscribe. Under Skutu, he was the first prime god born between heaven and earth, privy to many secrets. It said no living being has ever seen the supreme god, but the prime god of light indeed knew a secret related to the supreme god. You're talking about that palace at the deepest part of space? Lin Yuan said nonchalantly. Early on, when he swiftly took over many spatial layers, Lin Yuan sensed that there was more to the very fabric of this world's space, something ancient, an old palace. However, Lin Yuan was too busy pursuing the remaining prime gods, which is why he did not investigate immediately. He intended to deal with everything before exploring it. Now, the direction in which the prime god of light was fleeing was precisely that ancient palace located at the ultimate depths of space. You know, the prime god of light couldn't believe it. He was the first to discover that mysterious palace and speculated that it was related to the supreme god, but he never found any more useful information. You are too weak. At my level, there's hardly any secret left in this world. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly, once again bridging a great distance between spatial layers. Lin Yuan had now created 120 million spatial layers, while the number of spatial layers in the world itself was only around 1 trillion or so. In other words, if Lin Yuan wished, he could fully explore all the spatial layers of this world by spending some time, thanks to the volume of his own spatial layers. The many secrets hidden within layers upon layers of space were no secret to Lin Yuan. Die. Lin Yuan had closed in on the prime god of light without limit. Is this what death feels like? The prime god of light suddenly stopped moving, as his divine body and soul were eradicated. The divine lattice of light? Lin Yuan reached out with his right hand, and a divine lattice emanating infinite light appeared in his palm. It actually contains endless light and a part of the rule of time essence? Lin Yuan raised an eyebrow, slightly surprised. The prime god of light, indeed the first among prime gods, undoubtedly had the strongest strength among the 24 prime gods, with his divine lattice containing the essence of 2 rules. Although it did not compare to the rainbow dragon god's essence of 7 rules, both endless light and time were among the most powerful rule essences. However, during the escape just now, the prime god of light didn't utilize any time-related abilities. Lin Yuan contemplated for only a moment before he realized the reason. The rule of time, as profound and abstruse as it is, also had to consider the comparison of strengths between the 2 parties. For example, the most basic ability to pause time, in a close combat situation, is indeed useful. For fighting or fleeing, it belongs to a first-rate divine skill. But when there is a huge difference in strength and the essence of life, it's useless. Even rash usage might produce negative effects. If time were viewed as a long river, then stopping time would be akin to setting up a net at a certain segment, trapping life that follows the river's flow, causing it to come to a halt. But if the life one wishes to trap is a massive whale, far exceeding the net's bearing limit, then the only outcome would be that the net breaks and the whale would not pause at all. The prime god of light probably realized the excessively strong essence of Lin Yuan's life, and thus, until his death, he never employed any time-related abilities, because they would be meaningless. In fact, not just the rule of time, all other rule abilities, talents, and even divine skills are practically useless when the disparity in strength reaches a certain level. Just like Lin Yuan now, without employing any techniques and purely relying on the inner world that had 120 million spatial layers, he could crush any 9th-rank life form. Even if it was a life with a terrifyingly unique talent, there was no chance for it to resist in front of Lin Yuan. Under absolute strength, all methods are but frivolousness and show. Now that I've already come here, Lin Yuan put away the divine lattice of light and looked towards the ancient palace at the deepest part of space. Originally, Lin Yuan had planned to explore it once everything else had been taken care of, but now that he was here, he might as well take the opportunity to check it out. Whoosh! The Taiyang divine spirit appeared beside him. After transferring all the divine lattices from his inner world to the Taiyang divine spirit's inner world, Lin Yuan took a step forward and arrived at the deepest recesses of space. Even though Lin Yuan considered himself invincible in this world, he did not harbor any overweening thoughts. With the presence of the 2 great primordial spirits outside and having specifically left behind many droplets of his essence blood, even if Lin Yuan were to perish within the mysterious palace, it would not be a loss. The mysterious palace was majestic and grand, with a terrifying pressure that filled the air, a pressure so daunting that even mighty prime gods could only resist with difficulty. This was also why the prime god of light thought that this palace was related to the supreme god. Apart from the supreme god, who else could build a palace of such a level? Supreme god! Lin Yuan strolled leisurely down the main palace avenue, inwardly on slight alert. With his strength, he could ignore those oppressive forces, but this space was clearly not the work of a prime god. If there really was a supreme god present, perhaps it was indeed the work of such an entity. Half a day later, Lin Yuan had basically toured the entire palace. Just a palace? Lin Yuan observed carefully, even infiltrating deeper into the spatial layers, but still discovered nothing. It holds no value to me. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. He had observed the palace for a good half-day without gaining any insights, which paled in comparison to the divine lattice. Perhaps this palace hails from an even more distant past, Lin Yuan contemplated in silence. The era of gods originated with the light god, but what preceded the light god? It was far too remote. As for supreme gods? At Lin Yuan's current level, he could see the limits of this world. That was the 9th rank. And supreme gods were considered by all to exist beyond the 9th rank. Though Lin Yuan's strength far exceeded that of a prime god, and his life essence was frighteningly profound, he was still at the 9th rank stage, not having stepped into the 10th. To surpass the 9th rank, probably only the world consciousness of this world could achieve it. Lin Yuan was not unfamiliar with world consciousness, an almost selfless instinct born from the world itself. It was also known as heavenly Tao. During his previous traversals, Lin Yuan had encountered the world consciousness several times. Since the era of gods, this world's consciousness had been subtly guiding the grand trends, albeit vaguely. Lin Yuan held no dread or fear towards the world will, because it wasn't life, it harbored no concrete emotions. As long as Lin Yuan didn't harbor thoughts of destroying the world consciousness wouldn't overly oppose him. During his 4th traversal in the 5 regions world, as the great demon Xiahou Yuan, the world consciousness had targeted him, but that was all. It had taken no direct action. Let's head back. Lin Yuan gave the palace one last glance and turned to leave. Swoosh. Lin Yuan returned to the mortal realm. I still need to contain my aura. Lin Yuan's aura began to converge. At his life level, even a slight leak could influence his surroundings, even converting everything into his own domain. Moreover, the mortal realm's space subtly restricted Lin Yuan, making him feel as though he were a beached whale. In fact, it wasn't just Lin Yuan, even the gods, even those who were lower-rank gods, would feel similarly constrained. Why did gods reside in the ocean of light or the dark abyss? Apart from the concern that their unconscious aura leakage would cause alteration to all beings, it was also because the mortal realm would bind them. Conversely, in the ocean of light or the dark abyss, there were no such limitations. Supported by numerous spatial layers, even a prime god could act freely. It seems I also need to create my own spatial layers? Lin Yuan decided inwardly. Although he could suppress and contain his aura, now that he was unbeatable, there was no need to continue like before, concealing and suppressing it for fear of attracting the attention of the gods. Creating spatial layers? Lin Yuan looked up. The light god could create the ocean of light, the dark god, the dark abyss. Naturally, he could also create a vast world. Accurately speaking, it wasn't about creating but rather completing and transforming the foundation of the existing spatial layers. To truly create a complete and independent world, one must fully understand the complete rule of time and space. The inner worlds of the main world's 8th layer powerhouses all relied on the main world itself and could not be considered independent worlds. What should I name the world I am going to create? Lin Yuan's face reflected contemplation, but he immediately had an answer. Let's call it the martial realm. Chapter 602 600 Years of Time. Please subscribe. For the martial realm, Lin Yuan doesn't regard it as merely a simple place for cultivation. It is also the world where the future martial Dao cultivators, after establishing their divine kingdoms, will reside. The martial Dao cultivators here refer to those who step into the 8th layer true God through the martial Tao cultivation skill. Compared to martial Dao cultivators, the martial realm is similar to the ocean of light or the dark abyss in relation to the gods. What a pity, this world's suppression of lifespan is too harsh, making it nearly impossible to normally comprehend the essence of external world rules and then reach the 7th layer within 1,000 years. It's as difficult as ascending to the heavens, Lin Yuan thought silently to himself. The martial path evolutionary path, after Lin Yuan localized it, emphasized the excavation of one's own bloodline. Although this might lead to rapid advancement in the early stages, overlooking the understanding of external rules makes it very difficult to create an inner world on one's own. Do the gods hold up their divine kingdoms because they don't want to absorb them into their inner worlds? It's that they cannot absorb them. The divine kingdoms formed by the power of belief cannot be absolutely controlled like the inner worlds of 8th layer evolvers from the main world. Of course, even with such suppression by the world's rules, Lin Yuan still left behind in the martial Tao cultivation skill a method to comprehend external world rules and thereby open up an inner world without relying on faith. Even if this method was never going to be usable by future martial Tao cultivators of this world, Lin Yuan still left it behind. However, the advantages of the bloodline cultivation path are quite clear. By leveraging the power of bloodlines, there are almost no bottlenecks in the early stages of cultivation. Lin Yuan pondered quietly in his heart. Every time he traversed a new world, Lin Yuan would try to extract the essence of the world's cultivation system and then attempt to integrate it into his own martial path evolutionary path. Also, the construction of this world's divine realms is much more stable than the inner worlds of normal 8th and 9th rank powerhouses. Lin Yuan closed his eyes, and within the inner worlds of his two primordial spirits, countless divine kingdoms of the gods were rapidly analyzed, especially the divine kingdoms of the prime gods, which were far more complex than those of myriad heavy realm powerhouses of the 9th rank. If Lin Yuan were not an exception, having opened up an inner universe with 120 million spatial layers, he would dominate over a 9th layer prime god. As just a myriad heavy realm, it is estimated that he would struggle to get the better of those prime gods. Even if one could win, it would not be possible to kill them completely, as long as the prime gods hid inside their divine kingdoms. Relying solely on the power of a myriad heavy realm would most likely not be enough. Lin Yuan could try to cut off the gods' connection to human faith, but the effects would be too slow. The prime gods have harvested human faith for countless years, accruing enough faith to let them linger on for hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. The structure of the divine kingdom. Lin Yuan carefully examined the details of the divine kingdoms of the 24 prime gods. Your against heaven's understanding is exceptional, observing a vast number of special world constructions, continuing to elevate your understanding of the world itself. Your against heaven's understanding is exceptional, observing a vast number of special world constructions, continuing to elevate your understanding of the world itself. Your against heaven's understanding is exceptional, observing a vast number of special world constructions, continuing to elevate your understanding of the world itself. For a moment, a surge of comprehension flooded his mind, and Lin Yuan subconsciously adjusted the subtle structures of his inner world. My 9th stage martial Tao chapter, aside from creating more spatial layers, also made delicate changes to the inner world itself. Lin Yuan's eyes sparkled. All along, he had hesitated and hadn't systematically perfected the 9th stage martial Tao chapter. Because the path that Lin Yuan traversed in the 9th stage of martial Tao was completely unreplicable. Could those martial path evolvers in the main world comprehend the divine lattice? And perceive the essence of rules contained within it? Without Lin Yuan's against heaven's understanding, even if the divine lattice were put right in front of them, they would still gain nothing. The gods of this world, despite possessing divine lattices for an incredibly long time, did not perceive the rules corresponding to the divine lattices as directly as Lin Yuan did. Besides, the divine lattice is a special product of this world. The main world doesn't even have the concept of a divine lattice, so the martial path evolvers couldn't possibly follow the path Lin Yuan has taken. Consequently, if it couldn't be widely adapted, even if Lin Yuan forcibly opened up the 9th rank chapter, it wouldn't stand out in any way. But now, by comprehending a large number of divine kingdoms of gods and prime gods, Lin Yuan keenly seized the key to opening up the 9th stage martial Tao chapter. No matter for the 8th rank, 9th rank, or even 10th and tier 11, the inner world is the foundation, the source of one's strength. The construction of the inner world, after continuous refinement by many evolutionary scholars of human civilization in the main world, has reached a limit. It's similar to the shackles of a several million li radius that are difficult to improve by even a hair's breadth. But the divine kingdoms of the gods of this world have shown Lin Yuan a completely different direction from the inner world. In this situation, Lin Yuan, leveraging his against heaven's understanding, has comprehended aspects of the divine kingdoms and then integrated them into the 9th stage martial Tao chapter. If successful, the inner world of 9th rank evolvers in the martial Tao will be more stable and more perfect than the inner worlds of other powerhouses of the same level, and it will also be easier to transform into an inner universe in the future. Lin Yuan's spirits were uplifted. Put simply, this is equivalent to giving every 9th rank evolver a world tree in the future. The world tree, being an 11-star top-notch cosmic rare treasure, has the effect of stabilizing the inner world, and the inner world perfected by Lin Yuan's 9th stage Martial Tao chapter is not far behind in terms of stability. The most critical aspect is that this stability originates from the inner world itself, not from external forces, so it can make the final transformation of the inner world slightly easier. Of course, the world tree not only stabilizes the inner world but even so, 9th rank evolvers compared to other powerhouses of the same level also have an innate advantage. Chapter 603 Over 600 Years, Subscription Request, _2 Similar to those special life forms, compared to normal beings of the same level. This is a gap derived from depth. There's no helping it with the same attack, your inner world is about to collapse, teetering on the brink. Yet the inner world of a 9th stage Martial Tao evolver merely shook briefly before returning to normal. Divine Lattice, World Structure, and Bloodline Evolution Path are the 3 major gains from this traversal, Lin Yuan thought to himself. There's no need to discuss the importance of the first 2. As for the Bloodline Evolution Path, although it has many drawbacks, it also depends on the specific circumstances. In the main world, countless citizens have too low a comprehension, dull to the rule fluctuations of the outside world, which makes the Bloodline Evolution Path quite suitable. Of course, the prerequisite is that there must be sufficiently strong bloodlines within the body. But nonetheless, it's still a path, much stronger than spending a lifetime unable to become an evolver. Perhaps the Bloodline Evolution Path can also be integrated into Martial Tao? Similar to how body cultivation was integrated before? Lin Yuan pondered in his heart. The Bloodline Evolution Path is not a specific evolution path. It's more like a method to use the power of one's own bloodline to enhance strength. In the main world, there are many bloodline evolution families, but their excavation of bloodlines is not as perfected as in this world. After all, in the main world's human civilization, the bloodline evolution path is just a niche, with its upper limits easily capped. To become a true powerhouse, one still needs to follow the understanding of rules path. Take it slow. There's still plenty of time, with most of the stay remaining. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and looked down below. Longshan Ling had arrived. Outside the Longshan Great Hall, many members of the Longshan family were still patiently waiting. They could feel that the great Longshan patriarch, Longshan Yuan, was still not dead, alive and well. Just then, a figure appeared silently before the Great Hall. Patriarch! Patriarch, you've returned? Longshan Ling and a few close subordinates were the first to react, quickly greeting him respectfully. Lin Yuan glanced at the many excited faces of the Longshan family members. Patriarch, about the matter in the sky. Longshan Ling mustered the courage to ask carefully. I did it, Lin Yuan answered directly, as there was no longer any need to hide. He was already invincible in the world. Why bother concealing and being low-key? Is it really? With Lin Yuan's personal admission, Longshan Ling and the other members of the Longshan family were stunned. Even though they had speculated about this possibility, when it was actually confirmed, they still found it incredible. Is the patriarch this powerful? There's one more thing. Lin Yuan's mind moved, and a figure was teleported out. It was the Pope of the Rank Church. To be precise, it was this Pope's divine persona located in the Ocean of Light. This time, as Lin Yuan slaughtered the gods, this subordinate deity was the only one left alive. As for the reason, naturally, it was because Lin Yuan had been in good relations with him over the years. Moreover, the rank Pope had only the strength of a lower-rank god. With the death of the main god of rank as a subordinate deity, his power plummeted, probably barely reaching the threshold of a true god. And as a subordinate deity, his power was fixed, with no chance of further enhancement. Actually, if not for Lin Yuan intentionally saving him, at the moment of the main god of rank's death, the rank Pope should have been annihilated by backlash already. Longshan Patriarch. The rank Pope looked at Lin Yuan with a complex gaze. He had witnessed the complete scene of Lin Yuan slaughtering the gods in the Ocean of Light. At this moment, surprisingly, the rank Pope felt no fear whatsoever. Because fear was meaningless. If Lin Yuan wanted him dead, the rank Pope had no hope of survival. "You can leave now," Lin Yuan stated, with no intention of killing the rank Pope. A mere subordinate divine spirit had no allure for Lin Yuan, nor would it pose any threat to the Longshan family in the future. "Thank you, Longshan Patriarch, for sparing my life," the rank Pope exhaled deeply, mysteriously feeling sentimental. Under the twilight of the gods, all deities perished, even the strongest prime god had died. Who would have thought that he, as the weakest subordinate divine spirit, would actually survive? The strongest had died. The weakest still lived. The rank Pope had complex thoughts. "Longshan Patriarch," the rank Pope silently recited in his heart, knowing that his survival was solely due to the Longshan Patriarch's mercy. In the future, it will be the era of the Longshan Patriarch, the rank Pope thought as he left Longshan Ling, a new thought suddenly emerging in his mind. Since the prime god of light opened the ocean of light, the era of the gods officially began. Even the powerful gods like the prime god of light and dark god dared not place their divine names before the era. But from now on, the name of the Longshan Patriarch will completely dominate the era. Even if 100,000 or 1,000,000,000 years pass, the later beings and gods will still fear the reputation of the Longshan Patriarch. Outside the Longshan Great Hall, Lin Yuan looked towards Longshan Ling and the others. "Next, I will leave the human realm," Lin Yuan said. "Leave the human realm?" Longshan Ling and other important members of the Longshan family glanced at each other, now standing before Lin Yuan, all feeling a certain pressure from the essence of life. "Patriarch, where do you plan to go? The ocean of light, or the dark abyss?" Longshan Ling asked softly. "I will go to the martial realm," Lin Yuan said with a faint smile. "The martial realm?" Many members of the Longshan family looked puzzled, hearing about this place for the first time. "Where is the martial realm?" Longshan Ling asked cautiously. "Over there," Lin Yuan raised his right hand, slicing through the space, and an intact layer of space emerged. Lin Yuan stepped into it with Longshan Ling and many members of the Longshan family watching in awe, as he began to calm the spatial turbulence. Where Lin Yuan stood, everything stabilized, the energy became gentle, and space became steady, accompanied by a thick ground and sky. Rumble, rumble. A world far surpassing the ocean of light and the dark abyss was opened, its impact so significant that it even began to reflect in the human world. Who is that? Someone is opening a new world, just like the original prime god of light and dark god opened the ocean of light and dark abyss. This person must be the one who ended the era of the gods, now creating a world, likely as his own dwelling. In the human realm, ancient demigods had not yet recovered from the fall of the gods, when they witnessed such a shocking sight. After over 4 hours, Lin Yuan finally stabilized this layer of space, nodding in satisfaction. "The foundation is almost laid down. For now, this will do." Within his own new world, Lin Yuan finally felt much more comfortable. Under the influence of numerous spatial layers, he felt a long-missed sense of freedom. "I should also inform the beings." Lin Yuan glanced at the vast human realm, directly manifesting a towering presence. "From today, the martial realm has been created. Any who reach godhood through martial Tao cultivation skill may enter the martial realm." Having declared to the human realm, Lin Yuan did not care how much disturbance it caused, and returned once more to the martial realm, sitting at its very center. "Finally, I can quietly cultivate and understand the Tao again," Lin Yuan said. Lin Yuan took out many divine lattices. 24 true god forms, 3,063 upper-rank god divine lattices, 29,642 middle-rank god divine lattices, 123,242 lower-rank god divine lattices. Lin Yuan felt joy wash over him just by looking at the pile of divine lattices, feeling many spiritual insights surge forth, now beginning to earnestly understand them. "I wonder how much strength these divine lattices will add to me," Lin Yuan thought, relying on the divine lattices of those demigods in the human realm to open up to 120 million spatial layers. What about the true divine nature? And the true God form? Let's start understanding. Lin Yuan casually picked up a divine lattice, this one containing the property of space, the key to the higher essence of space in this universe. Just like that, time swiftly passed. 600 years had gone by in the blink of an eye. Chapter 604 Cultivation Achievements. Please subscribe. The vast martial realm, since the ascension of the first martial spirit 100 years ago, had gradually buzzed from its once silent and dead state. It was Lin Yuan who had opened up the martial realm, which was far larger in scale than both the ocean of light and the abyss of darkness. Even martial spirits had not explored it to its endpoint. Over the centuries, with each ascending martial spirit, 3 areas gradually emerged in the martial realm. One area was the convergence point of martial spirits from the Longshan family, primarily centered around Longshan City. Another area was the convergence point for martial spirits outside of the Longshan family, primarily centered around Myriad Phenomena City. As for the third area, that was where the great Longshan patriarch cultivated, occupying the most central part of the martial realm, the land where origin source was most abundant. The spread of the martial Tao cultivation skill and the opening of the martial realm both originated from the Longshan patriarch. Any martial spirit who ascended from the mortal world held immense respect for the Longshan patriarch. This was the peerless powerhouse who ended the era of gods and ushered in the martial Tao epoch. Nowadays, although the ocean of light and abyss of darkness still existed, and new deities were continuously being born, their power was incomparable to that of the martial realm. Name: Longshan Yuan, Lin Yuan. Identity: holder of the myriad realms gate, bound talent, heaven-defying comprehension. Divine skills: blood resurrection. Divine skills: mountain moving. Divine skills: strengthening. Divine skills: elemental body. Current status: consciousness descent. Remaining residency duration: 3 years. Lin Yuan slowly opened his eyes and glanced at the rows of illusory text below him. The time of residency is almost at its limit. Lin Yuan looked forward. Everything that was happening in the vast martial realm, he saw in its entirety. As the opener of this world, there was nothing in the martial realm that could hide from him, and it was almost like a second inner world. Originally, when I slew the gods, causing an overflow of worship in the mortal sphere, combined with several instances of popularizing martial Tao cultivation, it merely took 500 years to birth the first martial spirit. Lin Yuan thought. The martial spirit corresponded to the 8th stage of martial arts, although there were notable differences between the two. The advantage of a martial spirit lay in leveraging bloodline power, thus the cultivation speed before the 7th rank was extremely fast. As long as the limit of bloodline was high enough, there were hardly any bottlenecks. However, after reaching the 7th rank and igniting the divine fire, they should, in theory, lurk for long years, secretly gathering worship. However, with the fall of the gods, there was no need to be so secretive. Moreover, with Lin Yuan's presence, martial Dao practitioners were confident. After the first martial spirit entered the martial realm, a large number of other martial spirits were quickly born. In just 100 years, the number of martial spirits in the martial realm had surpassed 1,000. Out of 1,000 martial spirits, there are less than 100 from the Longshan family? Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. He held a definite preference for the Longshan family. His 2 primordial spirits often returned to the mortal realm to clarify doubts for the martial prodigies of the Longshan family. However, unfortunately, the prodigies of the Longshan family were not competitive compared to other talents from different places in the mortal realm. This was quite normal after all. Even with Lin Yuan present, the Longshan family was still just one family with limited members, naturally far fewer in number compared to the multitude of mortals. However, even if the Longshan family had only a few dozen martial spirits, they still held an absolute dominant position in the martial realm. The martial spirits outside of the Longshan family dared not offend the martial spirits of the Longshan family at all. And all of this was naturally because of Lin Yuan, the Longshan patriarch. Hundreds of years ago, a young member of the Longshan family asked me to suppress the martial spirits outside the family, to oppress the martial prodigies of the mortal world at the source of worship. Lin Yuan's gaze was calm. Naturally, he had not agreed to this request. Lin Yuan's goal had always been set on better spreading martial Tao. As for the rise and fall of the Longshan family itself, he didn't care much. As long as martial Tao cultivation continued to spread in this world, it met expectations. As for promoting the Longshan family's dominance at the expense of limiting the development of martial Tao cultivation, Lin Yuan would naturally not do so. He was even gradually letting go of handling the Longshan family. He had not had the primordial spirits return to the mortal Longshan Ling for decades. Their lifespan must be reaching its limit. Lin Yuan looked down, observing everything in the mortal realm. With Lin Yuan's help, the Longshan Fang couple's bodies had reached the maximum perfection allowed by this world. That is the level of a 6th-rank legendary knight and directly possesses 1,000 years of life. However, after 1,000 years, if they still haven't ignited the divine fire, they still have to face death. This death does not refer to physical decline, but the degeneration of the soul and spirit will. With Lin Yuan's strength, as long as he maintained the nourishment of his inner world, the Longshan Fang couple could probably live a few thousand more years. But that's only if the nourishment doesn't stop. However, Lin Yuan was ultimately going to return to the main world. Once he left, the Longshan Fang couple would lose their nourishment, and their souls and spirits would quickly wither. To ignite the divine fire, Lin Yuan's gaze was profound. In this world, igniting the divine fire was crucial, marking the boundary between mortals and demigods. To ignite the divine fire, one must rely on their unmatched will and spirit. External forces cannot play any part in this, similar to the heart demon tribulation from the 7th rank to the 8th layer in the main world. Although there were over 100,000 martial Tao demigods in the past 600 years, that was based on what population base? On average, probably not even one martial Tao demigod would emerge from 1,000,000,000,000 people. Chapter 605 Cultivation Achievements. Please subscribe. _2 Longshan Yuan's parents were just ordinary people and had not experienced any adversity. Since Lin Yuan's rise, each day had been comfortable, with almost zero chance of igniting the divine fire. Without reaching the Supreme Being, one eventually has to face the limits of lifespan, Lin Yuan realized within his heart. The supreme immortal kings of the spirit realm, the gods of this world, seemed eternally long-lived, but it was only eternity in their immortal and divine bodies. Weak beings, in the face of eternal time, have their minds gradually twisted and decayed, their cognition, their understanding of all things, is influenced by time. The same event might be viewed differently by a being who has lived 10,000 years compared to one who has lived only 100 years. The supreme immortal kings and the gods just haven't lived long enough. Live another 100 million or 1,000,000,000 years, and they may go insane, even contemplating suicide. The spirit will cannot withstand the test of time. Only the supreme beings, the ultimate existence on a certain evolutionary path, 12th rank life, with eternal and indestructible spirit will, are truly eternal. Of course, even supreme beings will die, but definitely not due to age. Having the door to the myriad realms and many means to protect my life, I could almost say I won't die unless it is by my own actions, but unless I become a supreme being, there will still come a day when I die, and no one will be able to save me, Lin Yuan thought. The supreme beings of the main world also have loved ones, parents, and siblings, but unless one becomes a supreme being, there will come a day to die of old age. Those who fully understand the rule of time can use it to control the flow of time around their bodies, achieving an alternative eternity. Essentially, it's about slowing down the time influence on their spirit will. A millennium in the external world may pass, while only a day goes by for the individual. The spirit will experiences just that one day. Now, my strength. Lin Yuan closed his eyes, his consciousness descended into his inner world. A vast inner world measuring 1.995 billion square miles, the mysterious gourd containing 7 types of colored liquids. Each type could amplify Lin Yuan's physical body and inner world by 3.33 times. Having completely absorbed the first 6 types of liquid, the final amplification would reach 1.998 billion square miles. And an inner world of 1.995 billion square miles meant that Lin Yuan's absorption of the 6th type, the blue liquid, was nearing perfection, and he was about to start touching the last purple liquid. Maybe reaching the 10th rank is necessary to fully absorb the purple liquid? Lin Yuan speculated quietly. The amplification of the inner world required consideration of both physical and soul strength. The strength here was fundamental strength. Every time Lin Yuan traversed, he would wait until he had recovered to his peak before summoning the mysterious gourd, firstly because he wanted to ensure he had enough power to protect himself. Secondly, if his strength was too low, even with the high-level blood rebirth, his physical soul might not be able to bear such a vast inner world. Spatial layers. Lin Yuan's gaze shifted, looking deeper into the spatial layers of his inner world. Lin Yuan had an early inkling of the size of his inner world, and he knew the amplification each colored liquid would bring, having deduced the final size of his inner world before this traversal began. But the spatial layers, that was a pleasant surprise. The divine lattice of this world, in terms of opening up spatial layers, absolutely exceeded Lin Yuan's expectations. In Lin Yuan's expectations, if he could open up 10 million layers of space during this traversal, reaching the 9th rank myriad heavy realm, he would have perfectly achieved his goal. But 10 million layers of space? 600 years ago, once Lin Yuan penetrated the essence of space from the demigod lattice, his inner world had already reached 120 million layers. Over the next 600 years, Lin Yuan studied various true divine natures and prime divine forms with spatial properties, and in terms of opening spatial layers, he reached 23,310,000,000 layers. Lin Yuan's gaze penetrated multiple spatial layers, and the thickness and substance of his inner world had reached an unimaginable extent. In the main world, when countless 9th rank strong beings treated the 10 million spatial layers as the peak of the 9th rank, Lin Yuan had already opened up 331 billion spatial layers? In terms of the number of spatial layers, it was 233. 1 times that of the normal 10 million layers at 9th rank? But in terms of actual power, was it not tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of times more? This traversal, the gains were truly immense. Lin Yuan couldn't help but marvel inside too. 331 billion spatial layers. This was a number previously thought unreachable by all 9th rank lives since the birth of the main world prime universe. Lin Yuan dared not claim that the spatial layers he had opened were unmatched in the main world, but being unmatched in history was undeniable. This ancient did not just refer to human civilization, the starry sky races, including those peak clans and unique special beings, could not possess this number of spatial layers at 9th rank. I don't know what my inner world will look like when it transforms into an inner universe in the future. Lin Yuan looked forward with anticipation. The transformation of an inner world into an inner universe represented the utmost sublimation, breaking all shackles and limitations. At that time, the inner universe would not be confined to a size of 10 million square miles, and the spatial layers would naturally evolve into something more profound and vast. As for how much it would transcend, that depended on the original size and depth of the inner world. Hunyi, the strongest 9th rank life from the Tianyu clan, had opened more than 30 million layers in his inner world. Was he just doing this for fun? With the time it took to open 30 million layers, one could have likely stepped into the 10th rank by now, and the increase in combat power would definitely far surpass going from 10 million to 30 million spatial layers. Other clans' 9th rank strong beings, if they had spare capacity, would always try to open as many spatial layers as possible at 9th rank. 10 million layers was merely their minimum threshold. Why open so many spatial layers at 9th rank? It was to make the transformation of the inner world into an inner universe a sublime breaking of all shackles. 9th Stage Martial Tao Chapter. Lin Yuan shifted his focus from the inner world to scrutinize the perfected 9th Stage Martial Tao Chapter. Compared to the previous 7th rank chapter and 8th rank part, the 9th rank chapter was crucial in adjusting the structure of the inner world, making it more stable and powerful. 4 9th rank strong beings of the same inner world size, same spatial layers, and similar foundations, those who follow the 9th rank martial Tao would definitely have an advantage. Moreover, according to the bloodline cultivation pathways of this world, Lin Yuan had specifically created a bloodline purification and cultivation method for the martial arts evolution system. While the martial arts evolutionaries were comprehending the great Tao rules, they could also spend time exploring the potential of their own bloodlines. As long as the bloodline's limit was high enough, the pace of strength enhancement would certainly far exceed the speed of comprehending great Tao rules. Of course, this cultivation method was only suitable for those citizens with high-ranking, extremely rich bloodlines, and the upper limit was level 7. Because the main world valued human rights and could not gather faith, relying on this cultivation method would not allow one to independently open a divine kingdom, hence they could not step into the 8th level. In Lin Yuan's conception, those martial arts evolutionaries with high-ranking bloodlines could fully explore their blood's limit to rapidly advance through the 5th, 6th, and 7th rank, then recomprehend the great Tao rules with a high perspective. The bloodline evolutionary path is ultimately not the great Tao. Lin Yuan slightly shook his head. The 9 supreme beings of human civilization, nor the supreme beings of other peak clans, none had reached the ultimate levels solely with their potent bloodlines. The Star Alliance, composed entirely of special beings whose top powerhouses sat, had noble bloodlines, but those who managed to step into the 12th rank did so not on account of their bloodlines. In some ways, bloodlines were actually a kind of shackle on the path to the peak. Having perfected the 9th stage martial Tao chapter and also added a branch to the martial path evolutionary path, overall enhanced the foundation and strength of the martial arts evolutionaries. Lin Yuan nodded slightly, satisfied in his mind. He then raised his right hand, his thoughts subtly moving. The speed of time on his skin began to twist, either slowing down or pausing, mismatching the main flow of time. The rule of time. Lin Yuan looked lively, having spent a significant amount of effort in comprehending the rule of time over the past 600 years. Chapter 606 Return. Shuttle ends. Please subscribe. The rule of time is a pillar of the world's constitution and the highest level among all pillar rules. To comprehend life rules, space rules, and other pillar rules, one only needs to reach the 6th or 7th rank. But the rule of time? Unless one becomes a multispatial life at 9th rank, one can't even feel the oscillations of the rule of time, let alone comprehend it. Even Lin Yuan, who possessed against heaven's understanding, did not choose to forcibly comprehend the rule of time at 8th layer, as the efficiency would be too low, and thus not worthwhile. 2,173 kinds of time rule models. By now I have thoroughly comprehended 851, Lin Yuan thought to himself, knowing well that a normal 9th rank powerhouse would not spend too much effort comprehending the rule of time, often not even entering the threshold within the 9 myriad heavy realm. 10th rank powerhouses have a deeper comprehension of the rule of time, but are only between comprehending 200 to 500 time rule models. As for 851 time rule models, that's something only an extremely powerful and special 10th rank powerhouse could achieve, or perhaps even the domain of an 11th rank powerhouse. To fully comprehend the rule of time, only an 11th rank peak powerhouse, preparing to try to strike at the supreme being's level, could reach that level. One of the prerequisites for striking at the supreme being realm is to thoroughly comprehend the rule of time, then merge it with space rules, take control of space-time, and make the ultimate leap. During this process, spreading one's own evolution path, the more beings that practice it, the greater the momentum becomes for the ultimate leap. Regrettably, there are too few true God forms and main godly cores that contain the attribute of time. Only the godly cores of the God of Divination and the Prime God of Light possess the time attribute, and there is only one true divine nature that has it. Lin Yuan sighed inwardly. If there were more divine lattices containing the time attribute, he was confident in comprehending 1,000 time models. Being able to comprehend 1,000 time rule models at the 9th rank, although not unprecedented like opening up more than 2,300,000,000 spatial layers, would certainly be considered earth-shatteringly against heaven's will. Generally, only those unique and special beings with a talent for time could hope to achieve this. Time slowed down. With a slight intention from Lin Yuan, the flow of time at his boat's surface began to slow, rapidly decelerating, with a day passing in the outside world equating to only an hour for Lin Yuan, a time flow speed of 12 to 1. This is also the maximum limit of time flow speed Lin Yuan can currently manipulate, mainly because his life level is too profound, and the price of slowing down his own time flow is too terrifying. If it were an ordinary 9th rank life, Lin Yuan could easily make their own time flow speed reach 1 to 1,000 compared to the outside world. In the river of time, the energy needed to slow down a whale far exceeds the energy needed to slow down a small fish. After slowing down time, even the perception of the great Tao rules becomes blurred. Lin Yuan is currently experiencing a time flow speed of only 1 to 12 compared to the outside world. Even so, the clarity of his perception of the great Tao rules has plummeted. One can infer that in an environment where the time flow speed reaches several thousand to tens of thousands to 1, it would be nearly impossible to comprehend the great Tao rules of the outside world. No wonder those 9th rank and 10th rank powerhouses are reluctant to use time treasures such as the time chamber for cultivation, Lin Yuan mused thoughtfully. The supreme beings of the main world have the power to slow down the time flow speed of a certain area and even can concoct treasures such as secret treasures. However, in such an environment where the time flow speed is slowed down, it doesn't really help one's own cultivation, and the time spent is actual lifespan. Just because the time flow speed of a certain area is different, it leads to a fuzziness in the perception of the great Tao rules because the great Tao rules themselves will naturally fluctuate with the main time flow speed. But by utilizing the door to the myriad realms to traverse through dimensions, this dimensional realm where I'm situated has such a time flow speed, and even if it differs from the main world's time flow speed, it doesn't affect the comprehension of the great Tao rules. Lin Yuan realized another benefit of crossing dimensions through the door to the myriad realms. 600 years passed, and apart from the rule of time, Lin Yuan also completely comprehended the essences of other rules, such as the life rule. This time, with the help of the divine lattices of gods and true god forms, it was undoubtedly a tremendous help to Lin Yuan, at least saving a lot of time. Without these true god forms, even if Lin Yuan could still reach his current height, the time required would have been much longer. Not utilizing the key-like effects of divine lattices, Lin Yuan's efficiency would definitely be much lower. Time passed. 2 years went by. The Longshan Fong couple gradually grew old and died, reaching the limit of lifespan in this world. Unless one ignited the divine fire and changed the essence of life, natural death was inevitable. This time, Lin Yuan did not use the power of the world within him to delay his parents' death, because there was no point. A year later upon his return, the Longshan Fong couple would still be dead. Whether they lived a year longer or less made no significant difference. And as the Longshan Fong couple faced death, they had no fear, having birthed a son who opened a new epoch, a matter of immense honor. Human world. Ruins of Longshan City. In front of the graveyard of the Longshan family, Lin Yuan's figure appeared, this time to the human world. It was not his 2 primordial spirits, but his true body itself. Lin Yuan stood in front of his parents' tombstones, his expression calm, showing neither joy nor sorrow, just standing there silently. Around the graveyard, important members of the Longshan family intermittently came and went. After all, the Longshan Fong couple were the parents of Longshan Yuan, holding an unshakable status within the Longshan family. Their death was significant enough that even the martial Tao true gods of the martial realm would descend their godly force incarnations to pay a visit. Chapter 607 Return, End of Time Travel, Subscription Request, _2 No matter who it was, no one saw Lin Yuan standing in front of the tombstone, as if they were not in the same spatial layer. Lin Yuan gazed at the cemetery. Although he was not the true Longshan Yuan, after so many years together, he still felt some emotion. You have left, and a year later, it will be my time to leave as well, Lin Yuan murmured, as a year later would mark the limit of his stay during this travel. Unless Lin Yuan was willing to expend another 10 strands of world-breaking origin force to descend into this world, it seemed there would be no possibility of coming back again. It's time to prepare for the last arrangements. Lin Yuan stood in front of the Longshan Fong couple's tombstone for a long while before he finally vanished silently. Martial Realm. Longshan City. Although the Longshan family in the martial realm had less than 100 martial Tao true gods, the construction of Longshan City was extraordinarily luxurious, far surpassing that of another city, Myriad Phenomena City. The first member of the Longshan family to become a martial Tao true god was named Longshan Quan. As for Longshan Ling and his subordinates from the past, none had ignited the divine fire to this day. Although they were not yet dead from old age, they would not live many more years, currently spending their twilight years peacefully on earth. The numerous martial Tao true gods of the Longshan family in the martial realm were all led by Longshan Quan. After all, as the first deity from their family, his influence was profound. Longshan Great Hall. Longshan Quan and a few other martial Tao true gods of the Longshan family gathered for an exchange. The ancestor is so benevolent to have given outsiders so many opportunities, Longshan Quan expressed discontent. Over the years, his disdain for the martial spirits of myriad phenomena city had only grown. The martial realm, opened up by the forebears of their Longshan family, should have remained their family's private domain, yet it ended up housing a horde of outsiders like invasive species. The other martial Tao true gods also nodded continuously. They had long regarded the entire martial realm as their backyard. How could those martial Tao true gods from myriad phenomena city deserve to live in the same place as them? Suddenly, just then, a figure appeared silently at one side. Ancestor. Longshan ancestor. Upon seeing this, Longshan Quan and the other true gods of the Longshan family immediately called out respectfully. Ancestor, you have finally agreed to see us, Longshan Quan said excitedly. Since ascending to the martial realm 100 years ago, he had seen Lin Yuan only once, and despite several attempts to visit afterwards, he had received little response. Lin Yuan, with a serene gaze, looked towards the Longshan Great Hall, towards the entire Longshan city, and spoke indifferently, "The Longshan family thrived because of me. I do not wish for it to decline because of me." Ancestor, how could the Longshan family possibly decline because of you? Your strength is historically unparalleled, having opened up the martial realm and welcomed martial Tao true gods. The reverence the mortal beings have for you even surpasses the gods, Longshan Quan said, somewhat puzzled. As long as Lin Yuan was around, the status of the Longshan family was undisputed. This had already become an ironclad rule. But I too will leave, Lin Yuan continued. Leave? Longshan Quan looked somewhat stunned. Ancestor, where are you going and when will you come back? The other martial Tao true gods looked at each other, their expressions somewhat perplexed. I won't be coming back, Lin Yuan said softly. Not coming back? Longshan Quan was greatly alarmed. Lin Yuan was as significant to the Longshan family as the sky itself, and also to this world. If Lin Yuan were to suddenly disappear, Longshan Quan dared not imagine the commotion it would cause. The blow it would deal to the Longshan family would be fatal. Yes, not coming back. Lin Yuan looked at the few martial Tao true gods of the Longshan family. Therefore, in the future, the Longshan family must not be too harsh towards foreign true gods. Although Lin Yuan always cared only about the spread of martial Tao cultivation skill, and never particularly cared about the rise and fall of the Longshan family, he still felt compelled to offer a few reminders before leaving. Ancestor, Longshan Quan's face turned ashen, desperately pleading as he looked at Lin Yuan. He realized that what Lin Yuan was saying might indeed be true, and that the Longshan family might soon lose its strongest support. Since I am leaving, I will also leave behind something. Lin Yuan stretched out his right hand, and 3 crystals emitting a profound aura hovered. What is this? Longshan Quan was stunned, then his body began to tremble uncontrollably. True God form. This was the true God form. Since Lin Yuan had slain 24 prime gods, the 24 true God forms had not appeared again. But even with a longing for the true God form, no one dared to search for them. Needless to say, all 24 true God forms were in the hands of the leader of the Longshan family. These 3 true God forms, I will leave with the Longshan family until you reach the peak of upper-rank gods, then you may attempt to refine them. Lin Yuan said. The 24 true God forms had all been comprehended by Lin Yuan, and keeping them further held no significance. Moreover, the true God form is the essential key to the rules of this world, and once it leaves this world, it will automatically collapse and, at the same time, will recondense into a new true God form somewhere within the world. Before returning to the main world, Lin Yuan naturally had to arrange the whereabouts of the true God form. With these 3 divine lattices, even if I leave, the Longshan family can thrive gloriously for 1,000,000 or even more years. Lin Yuan looked at an excited Longshan Quan. With these 3 true God forms, the future of the Longshan family is equivalent to having 3 true God-level powerhouses presiding over it. This kind of foundation, unless another Lin Yuan comes along, thinking about shaking the foundation of the Longshan family is absolutely difficult. As long as the Longshan family does not doom themselves and remains cautious and humble hereafter, their glory will not diminish much. Thank you, Ancestor. Thank you, Ancestor. Longshan Quan immediately knelt down, and the other martial Tao true gods did the same. As for the remaining 21 true god forms, I will release one every once in a while for other martial Tao true gods to vie for. These divine lattices, the Longshan family need not interfere. Lin Yuan continued. He did not plan to place all 24 true god forms with the Longshan family, as this would have made their status unassailable, forming a monopolistic situation in this world for martial Dao cultivators. And this is not conducive to the development of martial Tao. To truly advance martial Tao, a brilliance of a myriad of schools is necessary. If the Longshan family becomes too powerful, coupled with no restrictions from Lin Yuan, it would inevitably suppress other martial Tao talents outside their family. Yes. Although Longshan Quan and the other martial Tao true gods were somewhat reluctant, since the Ancestor had made such a decision, they had no grounds to refuse. Ancestor, Longshan Quan was about to speak, but then realized that he was now alone, only leaving behind 3 true god forms quietly floating there. The Ancestor has left. Longshan Quan was momentarily dazed. The Ancestor is too kind. The other martial Tao true gods looked at the 3 true god forms with longing but dared not harbor any thoughts of seizing them. Who knew if the Ancestor was still observing them in secret? Yes, the Ancestor is kind. Longshan Quan sighed. But since the Ancestor has already decided, my Longshan family will follow the Ancestor's words from now on, restrain our people, and completely give up the claim for the other true god forms. Yes. The several martial Tao true gods of the Longshan family looked at each other and nodded in agreement. In the depths of the multiple spatial layers, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Everything that needed to be done has been done. Lin Yuan looked downward, his gaze sweeping over the martial realm, ocean of light, dark abyss, and the realm of humans. Now, it's time to return to the origin source. Next to Lin Yuan, 2 figures appeared, precisely the Taiyin primordial spirit and Taiyang divine spirit. At the same time, the bell-shaped origin fine gold also floated in front of him, slowly oscillating with an inexplicable aura radiating from it. The Taiyang divine spirit and Taiyin primordial spirit began to dissolve into the most pure energy, assimilating into the origin fine gold, and Lin Yuan's true physical body did the same. If the true body and the 2 great divine spirits are too powerful, their dissolution, even if it begins, is extremely slow. 1 year later, as the inner worldly energies of the physical soul finally meld into the origin fine gold for the last time, the door to the myriad realms projection within Lin Yuan's spirit will suddenly begin to burst forth with light. Returning now, Lin Yuan's spirit will surge into the door to the myriad realms, disappearing from this world. Chapter 608 Shilan. Where are the elders? Subscribe please. Xianhuang's Secret Realm. Deep within layers upon layers of spatial layers, 2 presences were engaged in a chase, one pursuing the other. However, it was quite evident that the pursuing presence was far stronger than the fleeing one. Even as time passed, the fleeing presence was slowly exhausting. Just when the pursuer was about to close in completely, the fleeing party would always manage to slip through the narrow gaps between the many spatial layers. It was akin to a 100-meter giant chasing after an ant, which, by leveraging the terrain, could make the giant return empty-handed to some extent. Of course, the pursuit and escape among 9th-rank powerhouses across multiple spatial layers was much more complex than a chase within a single space. Even within the peculiar conditions of the Xianhuang's Secret Realm, as more time was delayed, the stronger party would occupy more spatial layers, and the fleeing side's options for turning and shifting spaces would become increasingly narrow. Eventually, it was like a bird in a cage, completely locked in. Being caught was just a matter of time. It has been 2.5 years. Xilan seized the chance and in an instant, crossed from one spatial layer to another, once again widening the gap from Hunyi. However, this was only a temporary reprieve, as within less than half an hour, Hunyi had caught up again. I can feel it, more and more spatial layers are being occupied, and the room for me to hide is getting smaller and smaller. Xilan sighed internally. This was the gap brought about by absolute power, where his own open spatial layers were less than 1 million, whereas Hunyi was from the Tianyu clan, one of the strongest 9th-rank beings of the Peak clans. He had opened up over 30 million spatial layers. If it were not for the restrictions within the Shenhuang's secret realm, suppressing any instantaneous movement techniques, and the fact that Xilan was actively burning everything, even his spirit will, for a significant increase in power, he would likely have been captured by Hunyi long ago. Even so, Xilan faintly felt that he might not be able to hold on much longer. First, Hunyi was about to completely occupy all nearby spatial layers, and second, there wasn't much of his spirit will left to burn. He'll hold on for another half-year. Xilan steadied himself and glanced at Lin Yuan, who was sitting cross-legged in a corner of his inner world. He had a lot of trust in Lin Yuan. Since the Galactic Star Master had said that as long as he could endure for 3 years, they could wait for the support of an elder, Xilan had never doubted it. I wonder which strong being from human civilization is the elder of the Galactic Star Master? Xilan was somewhat curious. The master of the Galactic Star Master was the Chikuan Star Lord. However, the Chikuan Star Lord was only an invincible 8th-layer being. Even if he had broken through to the 9th rank, he would still be far from capable of providing support for them. Evolvers who had just entered the 9th rank, in the face of a strong 9th rank being like Hunyi from one of the large Peak clans, were nothing more than a one-strike affair. He, Xilan, had managed to persevere until now by burning everything and also due to the secret techniques obtained from the Supreme Evolution Path inheritance from human civilization, as well as the special environment of the Shenhuang secret realm. If it's not the Chikuan Star Lord, perhaps it's one of those 9th-rank beings from human civilization who have opened up over 20 million spatial layers, Xilan pondered internally. This was his only pleasure during the chase. To rescue them from Hunyi's hands, a standard 9-stage million-layer realm human evolver wouldn't suffice. At least those who had opened up 20 million spatial layers were needed to contain Hunyi and buy time for their safe withdrawal. 20 million spatial layers. Xilan felt a slight sense of awe in his heart. The longer he practiced at the 9th rank, the more he realized the difficulty of opening spatial layers. Opening spatial layers was merely the surface. What was more important was the profound understanding of the essence of space. Without sufficient grasp, one couldn't maintain the layers, and even if forcibly created, they would collapse quickly. To be fair, Xilan still held a bit of admiration for beings like Hunyi, who had opened up far beyond 10 million layers, because he knew how challenging it was. At that moment, Hunyi, who was pursuing from behind, transmitted his voice again. Xilan, I know that you're desperately trying to escape, striving to buy time, wanting to protect the treasures you've acquired within the secret realm. In that case, I can promise you that if you hand over the Galactic Star Master, I will let you leave, and all the opportunities and treasures you've obtained within the secret realm can be taken with you. Hunyi continued, you should know what a promise from me, Hunyi, means. Even if we belong to opposing camps, I will adhere to it. Hunyi was growing impatient with the chase, which had gone on for more than 2 years. If it continued, who knows, it might waste another 3 to 5 months. From beginning to end, Hunyi's target had been to kill the Galactic Star Master, or rather, to kill one of the avatars of the Galactic Star Master, to settle some recent grudges from the battlefield. As for Xilan, Hunyi had never truly regarded him. If it were not for being in the Shenhuang secret realm, with his strength, the chase would not have needed to last this long. Ha ha ha, you Tianyu birds are still trying to drive a wedge between me and the Galactic Star Master? Xilan was completely unmoved. As an evolver from human civilization, Xilan understood his foundations very well. At this moment, the biggest crisis he faced was merely whether this avatar would fall here and whether the secret treasures and opportunities gained from the secret realm could be returned. But to hand over the Galactic Star Master? Aside from the act of betraying human civilization, just considering the latent talent shown by the Galactic Star Master, he, Xilan, wasn't stupid. How could he possibly make such a choice? On the contrary, dying alongside the Galactic Star Master in the Xianhuang secret realm would only deepen the camaraderie between them. Alright then, prepare to leave behind this avatar completely. Hunyi no longer tried to persuade and continued the chase. Over the past 2 years he had transmitted his voice more than once, but every time, Xilan had answered with ridicule. Chapter 609 Xilan. Where are the elders? Subscribe please. _2. The escape methods of the Void Evolution Path are indeed as legendary as they say, Hunyi said with a slightly stern expression, while also speeding up the process of completely occupying the spatial layers. The Void Evolution Path was the path of evolution cultivated by Xilan, and it was also one of the 9 great supreme evolution paths currently mastered by human civilization. The ultimate being of this evolution path was the Void God Ultimate Being, who was one of the 9 supreme beings of human civilization. In terms of combat power and killing ability, the Void God Supreme Being might not match the Xiaqin Supreme Being or the Ancient Power Supreme Being, but in terms of control over the Void, they were the strongest among the 9 supreme beings. Within human civilization, the most practiced evolution paths were those of the 9 supreme beings. Although these 9 great supreme evolution paths all had ultimate beings, the vast majority of human evolvers neither had the desire nor the ability to challenge the ultimate level. In their eyes, the supreme evolution path was mature, nearly perfect, and if one had the qualifications to cultivate it, who would choose any other evolution path? Xilan had a talent for the spatial domain, and with her special body with spatial attributes, she could activate many of the escape techniques from the Void Evolution Path, which is how she had managed to persist so far under Hunyi's persecution. Almost there, Hunyi thought, retracting his thoughts. No matter how exquisite the Void Evolution Path was, it still required space to operate, and now, after 2 or 3 years, with him continuously taking over the spatial layers, Xilan was close to being trapped to death by him. The relentless pursuit by Hunyi, the strongest 9th rank being of the Tianyu clan, also caught the attention of other 9th rank beings in the vicinity. Is that the Tianyu clan's Hunyi? The one called the first 9th rank of this era of the Tianyu clan? Who is he chasing? You don't know? The one being chased is Xilan, the 9th rank evolver from human civilization. But what Hunyi is after is not Xilan, but the Galaxy Master who is traveling with her. The Galaxy Master? The human peerless genius who recently caused the Tianyu clan to lose face on the battlefield? The youngest 9th rank in the history of human civilization? So it seems. Various 9th rank beings watched from afar. Hunyi's pursuit was not being concealed at all, and the bursting spatial fluctuations could be easily detected. The Galaxy Master is being chased. Some of the 9th rank different species with relatively good relations with human civilization were tempted, knowing that if they could save the Galaxy Master now, they would surely gain the favor of this peerless genius of human civilization. Unfortunately though, it was Hunyi who was chasing the Galaxy Master, and even though some 9th rank different species wanted to please Lin Yuan and human civilization, they didn't have the power to hold Hunyi back. In the cosmic starry skies, human civilization was one of the few peak clans, an absolute behemoth, with enemies as well as follower clans. Apart from the big alliance established by human civilization itself, there were still many clans who did not want to offend human civilization and even sought friendship with it. Hunyi has been chasing Xilan for over 2 years now, and the Galaxy Master must be hiding in Xylan's inner world. They say Xilan cultivates the Void Evolution Path. Tisk, truly as legendary as they say. Being pursued for more than 2 years, the Galaxy Master is in such a dire state. It's also unclear what the Galaxy Master is holding on for. Xilan must have used some secret technique that affects the true body of the main being, with such a cost. Could it be that a special 9th rank from human civilization is coming to their rescue? I haven't heard of any nearby human 9th rank who can come close to Hunyi. The many 9th rank different species, separated by different spatial layers, conversed with keen interest. Regardless of whether it was the one being pursued or the pursuer, both were extremely famous. They were also happy to watch the drama unfold. Needless to say, Hunyi's renown had spread throughout the 9th rank circle, and the Galaxy Master, although only recently advancing to 9th rank, had garnered considerable attention due to the revealed talent as well as the halo of human civilization. On the other side of the Xianhuang's secret realm, a human evolver clad in a purple robe was continuously shuttling through the layers of space. His speed was tremendous, and each transition affected more than 40 million spatial layers. This purple-robed evolver, named Duke, had established 39 million spatial layers and was the strongest 9th rank being of this era in human civilization. Just hold on a little longer. Once I get there, I will ensure that Hunyi pays the price. The location Duke was heading towards was where Hunyi was. As the strongest 9th rank of one of the great peak clans, Duke often clashed with Hunyi. The spatial layers created by the former were more numerous than those of the latter, giving him a natural advantage in combat. More than 2 years ago, when he learned that Hunyi was pursuing the Galaxy Master, he rushed over as quickly as possible. Normally, the Xianhuang's secret realm suppresses all deliberate spatial movements, forcing even the strongest beings to fly slowly. When Duke received the message, he was a great distance from Hunyi's location. It was almost impossible to arrive within 3 years. But even so, Duke did not hesitate to come. Hunyi, if you dare to kill this incarnation of the Galaxy Master, within the Xianhuang's secret realm, your Tianyu clan's 9th rank should also stop living, Duke thought to himself. Usually, special 9th rank beings like them wouldn't deliberately pursue and kill other 9th rank alien races after entering the Xianhuang's secret realm, because it's too time-consuming. The Xianhuang's secret realm isn't like the outside world. One can only fly slowly, and it's only open for 100 years. Pursuing other 9th rank alien races? Would they really forsake the many opportunities within the secret realm? But Hunyi dared to actively pursue the peerless genius of human civilization. This precedent cannot be set. Duke would rather give up searching for opportunities within the secret realm than not fight back. Deep within the heavy spatial layers, the Madwa traveler was also watching the chase from afar. Hunyi had been pursuing Xilan and the Galaxy Master for over 2 years. After receiving the news, the Madwa traveler also rushed over. The Galaxy Master is really unlucky, thought the Madwa traveler to himself, having already warned the Galaxy Master, who would surely try to avoid Hunyi as much as possible. The environment of the Xianhuang's secret realm is unique. Even if Hunyi received the location of the Galaxy Master one moment, by the time he arrived the next, the Galaxy Master would likely have already disappeared. Unless the two happened to meet face to face. The ancient god ancestor really values the Galaxy Master, going so far as to let me use that trump card to block Hunyi and save the Galaxy Master. The Madwa traveler shook his head slightly. As the most outstanding progeny of the ancient god ancestor, the Madwa traveler was deeply cherished by him. Upon entering the Xianhuang's secret realm this time, he was even bestowed a life-saving trump card. Once this trump card is activated, even a special 9th rank capable of creating 50 million or 80 million spatial layers would be trapped for a short while. The ancestors said not to use the trump card to directly save the Galaxy Master, but to act only when the Galaxy Master is in the most critical moment, precisely when he is about to be captured by Hunyi. Only then can we gain the Galaxy Master's utmost gratitude. Remembering the instructions of the ancient god ancestor, the Madwa traveler felt they made sense. It's almost time, observed the Madwa traveler for a while longer. Noting that Xylan's struggle to escape was slowing down, his expression immediately became serious, waiting for the critical moment to activate the life-saving trump card. Within the inner world of Xilan, Lin Yuan quietly opened his eyes. "I'm back," said Lin Yuan, his gaze deep as the millennia spent in the world of gods seemed like fleeting illusions flashing by. Whoosh! Sensing Lin Yuan's movement, Xilan immediately projected her consciousness incarnation and appeared not far away. "Brother Xilan, Lin Yuan said with a smile on his face, knowing that Xylan's perseverance was crucial for the perfect completion of this traversal. Otherwise, Lin Yuan would have had to terminate the traversal prematurely or give up the primordial spirit within the Xianhuang's secret realm. Whichever option, it would be a significant loss. Galaxy Master, Xilan said with a faltering breath, but still forcibly perked up. After a brief conversation, Xilan cautiously asked, Galaxy Master, has your elder come yet? Elder? Lin Yuan glanced at Xilan. Chapter 610 Lin Yuan and Hunyi, subscribe please. Before Lin Yuan performed his 9th traversal, to give Xilan hope, he casually mentioned that an elder was on their way. It wasn't entirely a fabrication. The significance of elder lay in combating Hunyi. As long as Lin Yuan safely completed the 9th traversal and his strength significantly increased, he himself would be the elder. In Lin Yuan's expectations before the traversal, even without the aid of a divine lattice, traversing through the worlds over 1,000 years could likely cultivate him to the 9-stage million-layer realm. With over 100 million li in size of his inner world, even if there was a gap in developing spatial layers compared to Hunyi, his overall strength could be on par. Not to mention that the actual gains from this traversal far exceeded Lin Yuan's initial expectations. Inner world. Lin Yuan also observed his own inner world. The return of the spirit didn't change the size of the inner world, as it needed to absorb the liquid from the mysterious gourd to recover to nearly 200 million li in diameter. However, the depth, or the spatial layers, was expanding at a terrifying speed. 1 million layers, 10 million layers. Expanding the spatial layers required a profound comprehension of the essence of space. With Lin Yuan's current understanding of the spatial essence, he could restore up to 331 billion layers in a short time. Let's go out. Lin Yuan looked up, and with his current mastery of the spatial layers, even with the separation by Xylan's inner world, he could easily see the outside. Go out. Xilan was somewhat confused. Could it be that Lin Yuan said elder had arrived? But Xilan hadn't sensed any approaching 9th rank powerhouse's aura. Although there were many 9th rank members of different species watching from afar, their revealed aura didn't seem capable of holding off a special 9th rank like Hunyi. The next moment, under Xylan's gaze, Lin Yuan's figure disappeared from the spot. Did the Galaxy Master go out? Seeing this, Xilan was a bit slow to react. In his inner world, without his permission, the Galaxy Master had gone out? One must know. As the opener of the inner world, Xilan was like a creator god within it. He could control all the powers of the inner world. Even for someone as powerful as Hunyi, who had developed over 30 million spatial layers, if he was deeply trapped in Xylan's inner world, without Xylan's consent, the only possibility to get out would be to forcefully shatter the inner world. As for leaving silently, perhaps 11th or 10th rank powerhouses could achieve it, as their understanding of the spatial essence had reached inexplicable levels, enabling them to disregard Xilan, the world's opener. But how did Lin Yuan get out? Xilan couldn't understand and was unable to figure it out, but immediately afterwards, he realized something. That was, the Galaxy Master had gone out, and outside was Hunyi, the strongest 9th rank of the Tianyu clan, pursuing to kill. Without Xilan leading Lin Yuan to escape, the Galaxy Master would probably be captured by Hunyi in an instant. Not good. Xylan's avatar within the inner world dissipated. Outside, Xilan was using various escape methods derived from the void evolution path, sliding through gaps between spatial layers to elude Hunyi as much as he could. At that moment, whoosh! Beside Xilan, Lin Yuan's figure suddenly appeared. Hunyi, who was pursuing, paused slightly, then was overjoyed. If Lin Yuan had continued to hide in Xylan's inner world, he might have extended his survival for a while under his pursuit. But to come out voluntarily? Especially since Lin Yuan, after coming out, wasn't continuing to flee but was standing quietly there. Whoosh! Similarly, Xilan, who had initially fled far away, returned to Lin Yuan's side. Galaxy Master, Xylan's expression was grave. He could keenly sense that the moment they stopped, Hunyi took the opportunity to completely seal off all surrounding spatial layers. That is, Xilan and the Galaxy Master, like turtles in a jar, were completely at Hunyi's mercy. At the same time, the many ninth-rank members of different species watching from afar also noticed that the Galaxy Master was making no attempt to escape actively. Has the Galaxy Master given up hope? Doesn't he even want to run? It seems so. Actually, it should have been like this from the beginning. With Hunyi's pursuit, if there were no similarly ranked human evolvers nearby, escape would just be a death sentence, completely a waste of time. Right? If he had detonated his avatar at the start of the pursuit, maybe his second incarnation would be half-formed by now. The multitude of ninth-rank members from different species discussed animatedly, still showing no signs of dispersing. Seeing the demise of a supreme talent of human civilization, even if it was just an avatar, was quite a rare event. Human civilization highly valued talents. Most of the time, talents were fiercely protected, even on the battlefields of different races, where high-rank evolvers would pay special attention. But in the Xianhuang's secret realm? The Xianhuang's secret realm has a unique origin, forbidding 10th rank and above powerhouses from entering. Not even supreme beings could peek inside. Here, the talents of human civilization had to face many dangers independently. Like now, the Galaxy Master faced the pursuit of Hunyi. The critical moment is approaching. In the depths of the spatial layers, Mudwa Traveler also grew tense. He raised his right hand, where a vortex resembling a black hole was slowly rotating. This life-saving trump card, created by Mudwa Traveler's ancient god ancestor, contained elements of the rule of time. Mudwa Traveler's ancient god ancestor, immensely ancient, had long mastered the complete rule of time. Even so, to create this life-saving trump card, he had paid a considerable price. Chapter 6:11 Lin Yuan and Hunyi, please subscribe, _to no way. Compared to the reproductive abilities of human civilization, those ancient gods from the depths of the universe mostly come from special life forms. Their talents are terrifyingly strong, but their ability to reproduce is pitifully weak. Some unique special life forms don't even have the ability to reproduce, wandering the vast cosmos without a single kindred soul. Thus, the ancient god ancestor of the Mudwa Traveler valued this descendant extremely and did not hesitate to pay the price to create this life-saving trump card. In the depths of the cosmic starry skies, the true body of the Mudwa Traveler immediately informed the ancestor of what had happened in the Xianhuang's secret realm. The Galaxy Master has taken the initiative to reveal himself? The ancient god ancestor's massive body sat there, beginning to affect the surrounding space and time. He stroked his chin and said, "When the Galaxy Master is on the brink of life and death, activate the time black hole I gave you. Understand? You must not hesitate at all." The ancient god ancestor cautioned, for if it was too late and the Galaxy Master were killed by Hunyi, then such a long time would have been wasted. If it was too early and the Galaxy Master had not yet despaired, the favor they did would not seem as significant. Understood, Ancestor. I am ready at all times. The Mudwa Traveler nodded, even though he did not know why the ancestor placed such importance on the Galaxy Master, going as far as to offend the Tianyu clan to curry favor with him. But over the long years, the ancestor had moved effortlessly among several peak clans, not as a supreme being but with a vision that allowed him to manage. Even two supreme beings had received funding from the ancestor before they had risen to power. Haha, Galaxy Master, it seems you know your end. Hunyi rapidly sealed off all the spatial layers around them, looking at Lin Yuan who stood calmly and relaxed, not immediately moving to kill. Within the spatial layers he sealed off, even if a 9th rank from human civilization on the same level as him were to rush over now, it would be pointless. With the spatial layers thoroughly locked down, Hunyi could easily shift Lin Yuan into his own inner world with just a thought. Thus, at this moment, Hunyi was savoring the sight of Lin Yuan. Having pursued him for nearly 3 years, he was certainly feeling a touch irate. He wanted to deeply embarrass the Galaxy Master. Hunyi also knew that the Galaxy Master could blow up this avatar in an instant. It was impossible for him to bring the Galaxy Master back to his clan alive. Galaxy Master, you still haven't blown yourself up. It seems you're quite unsatisfied? Hunyi spoke. He was also aware of the Galaxy Master's talents and qualifications. Stepping into the 10th rank in the future would pose no difficulty, perhaps even one day catching up to himself. But what of it? At least for now, Hyunyi, could crush the Galaxy Master. Hyunyi. Lin Yuan also looked at Hyunyi, shaking his head slightly and said, "Right now, you're too weak." Too weak? Hyunyi was stunned, then burst into laughter, looking to vent your frustration before death? Even a 10th rank powerhouse wouldn't call him weak. Being able to open over 30 million spatial layers at the 9th rank was not something just anyone could achieve. "I don't even care to speak with you," Lin Yuan sighed. Originally, he had wanted to mock Hyunyi after ending the chase, but now, the gap between them was too vast, not even a thought to scorn remained. "You're not interested in talking to me?" Hyunyi scoffed, about to respond. The next moment, Hyunyi's expression drastically changed. Because, in the blink of an eye, the spatial layers he occupied were forcefully banished by a nearly brutal force, a trace of fear streaking across Hyunyi's face. In less than a breath, he lost all control over the surrounding spatial layers, and all the layers he could sense were occupied by a brand new force, the number of layers captured by this power far surpassing 30 million. "You!" Hyunyi broke into a cold sweat, looking at Lin Yuan with disbelief, the fresh force being that of the Galaxy Master that he considered to be securely in his grasp. "Die." Lin Yuan's expression remained tranquil as boundless layers of space crushed down with just a thought. "How could you?" Fear surged in Hyunyi's heart, not hesitating to blow up his avatar. If he did not destroy his avatar now, Hyunyi felt that he might actually be captured alive by the Galaxy Master. Then, if this avatar fell into the hands of the Galaxy Master and was brought back to the human civilization territory, and with the help of this avatar, if cursed killing techniques or memory poisons and such were used, Hyunyi, could very well face complete annihilation. In the Tianyu clan territory, Hyunyi's true body opened his eyes, showing an expression of utter disbelief. What happened? How could that Galaxy Master possess such strength? "I can feel it, the spatial layers he occupies far exceed 30 million, no, at least 100 million. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible for just the spatial layers to instill such a sense of powerlessness in me, right?" Hyunyi couldn't believe it, 100 million spatial layers? Throughout the history of the Tianyu clan, none of the 9th rank beings had ever developed such a number of spatial layers. Not even those unique special beings could open up so many layers. Xianhuang's secret realm. Xilan, who was originally in despair, watched as Hyunyi was forced by Lin Yuan to expose his avatar, and suddenly felt bewildered. What's going on? What happened? Xilan's mind was a mess. Galaxy Master. Xilan looked towards Lin Yuan standing beside her, subconsciously. Although she didn't know why Hyunyi self-destructed, it must be related to the Galaxy Master. The Galaxy Master has taken over all the surrounding spatial layers? Xilan also felt the many layers of space being dominated by Lin Yuan. Although Xilan couldn't determine exactly how many layers were occupied, the pressure she felt at this moment was far greater than when Hyunyi was pursuing them. "All right. Hyunyi is dealt with." Lin Yuan stretched out his right hand, and Hyunyi's space bracelet fell into his hand. Dealt with? Xilan felt as though she was dreaming. She had contemplated countless possibilities, such as dying at the hands of Hyunyi along with Lin Yuan, or Lin Yuan's elder, suddenly arriving. Or, perhaps a special 9th rank alien race friendly to human civilization would appear and intervene on their behalf against Hyunyi. Or even the sudden emergence of a terrifying native beast from the secret realm to entangle Hyunyi. She had run through countless possibilities and speculated about many scenarios. Almost every one of them had crossed her mind. But she had never imagined Lin Yuan forcing Hyunyi to self-destruct with a mere gesture. It was too incredible. In the distance, the many 9th rank alien races who were watching the drama unfold had their eyes bulging with disbelief. Hyunyi self-destructed? What's going on? Why would he self-destruct for no reason? Nonsense, it's because of the Galaxy Master. All the surrounding spatial layers have been taken over by the Galaxy Master. The Galaxy Master's strength is far above Hyunyi, forcing Hyunyi to self-destruct. All the 9th rank aliens watching the battle were in an uproar. unable to predict that the situation would take such an unexpected turn. Huanyi, with victory within his grasp, was forced to self-destruct, while the Galaxy Master, apparently at an absolute disadvantage, suddenly demonstrated nearly inconceivable strength. Deep in the cosmic starry skies, the real body of the Mudwa traveler was somewhat dazed. He had witnessed the unfolding scenario in the Shenhuang's secret realm, and precisely because of this, he was so bewildered. What's the situation now? Did you use that time black hole I gave you? The massive ancient god ancestor immediately asked. In his estimation, with the Galaxy Master making an appearance, the worst Huanyi would do was to shame the Galaxy Master for a bit. He wouldn't let the Galaxy Master live much longer. At this moment, it was critical for the Mudwa traveler who was hiding nearby to use the time black hole at the critical moment to trap Huanyi and save the Galaxy Master. This was the process envisaged by the ancient god ancestor. Through this incident, not only would the Mudwa traveler completely reconcile with the Galaxy Master, but he could also win the favor and goodwill of the Galaxy Master. No, the Mudwa traveler was stunned, and after a moment of silence, he responded, "No." The ancient god ancestor frowned, slightly annoyed. "Why didn't you activate the time black hole? Do you think this life-saving trump card is too precious?" "Foolish. Such a life-saving trump card. Given time, I can completely create a second or third one. But the Galaxy Master's goodwill, after the Shenhuang's secret realm, will you still have this opportunity?" The ancient god ancestor looked at the Mudwa traveler with a mix of frustration. "Ancestor." The Mudwa traveler shrank a little and said, "I did plan to use it." "Then why didn't you use it?" The tone of the ancient god ancestor rose as he was about to continue his scolding. "Because Huanyi is dead, killed by the Galaxy Master." The Mudwa traveler steadied himself and said somewhat aggrievedly, "I didn't even have the chance to use it. The Galaxy Master killed Huanyi." The ancient god ancestor fell silent, staring at the Mudwa traveler with surprise and suspicion. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.